welcomes you to the following presentation of the National Football League.
Moments away from kickoff in San Diego and the debut of a new-look Seahawks team. And despite all the challenges of the lockout, few coaches are as enthusiastic as Pete Carroll. Pete, what is it about an opener that for you is the most powerful and memorable?
Well, this is when we start it all. You know, we look forward to it so much. It means so much to the players and the coaches. And this is where we kick this thing off. And so we're going to enjoy the heck out of it, have some fun playing ball tonight.
The debut of Tavares Jackson. He's only been on the field for you for a week. What was your message to him?
Well, we wanted him just to play with him himself, just get a few snaps in tonight and get us started, kind of get out there with the fellas for the first time.
And Mike, coach is so active on Twitter. He asks fans to send in the opening play of the game. They've got thousands of requests, and you picked one, right?
Yeah, I hope John's right. He picked out a pretty good one. I like it.
We'll look forward to that.
Thank you, Susie Culber. Pete Carroll has been tweeting throughout the week to the 12th man, the Seattle fans, to send the opening play. Ricky Schmidt kicks off for San Diego. Golden Tate back to receive for Seattle. After all that yakety offseason, how good is this? A kickoff from the new spot to the 35-yard line, which means we're going to see a ton of touchbacks in all likelihood starting there.
Probably lead the league in 80-yard drives this season.
Well, Tavares Jackson's the guy who's going to have to do it. He'll start at the 20-yard line, and we mentioned earlier, always looking over his shoulder, waiting for Brett Favre and everything else. What do we see as Jackson comes to Seattle here?
Well, he's no longer the young guy in the Vikings system. He needs down-to-down, day-to-day, game-to-game consistency. He's got to regain his confidence because he admits he lost it. Most importantly, he's got to make plays and take control.
Marshawn Lynch, the running back. We'll see them for a drive or two. And not many places to go. Takeo Spikes, the new Charger, helping to lead the charge and make the tackle. So Marshawn Lynch, the big playoff game, started last year with Buffalo. We're going to show you the Seahawks there in their starting lineup on the bottom of the screen. We want to point out a few guys not with them tonight. Sidney Rice, the wide receiver acquired in free agency, just a little bother with the shoulder. Mike Williams, who had a big year last year, he's also not starting. And then Zach Miller came over from Oakland in free agency. And this offensive line, Okung was here last year. Everybody else is pretty much brand new in a new spot. A 2-yard run for Lynch against Spikes with the stop there. How important is this offensive line cohesion going to be here at the start for Seattle?
Well, it's absolutely critical that they get Marshawn Lynch running early, not only in the preseason, but getting him ready for the regular season. This is a very young offensive line. Yes, the pedigree is great. 3 #1 draft choices, a 2nd-round pick, and a 3rd-round pick. But Tom Cable, the offensive line coach, has a lot of work to do developing that continuity that's so important up front.
Was the Raiders head coach last year. Leon Washington, the 3rd down back. Jackson throws complete to Doug Baldwin for the first down at the 31. He's a rookie out of Stanford, making his first catch as an NFL player.
Well, it's a nice throw by Tavares Jackson. You're going to see the blitz coming off his right side. Jackson sets up, keeps his eyes right on his primary receiver, delivers a nice accurate throw to his crossing route receiver. Big first down for this Seahawk offense.
Michael Robinson is the starting fullback. He went in motion. And Jackson was checking it to Golden Tate, rookie last year's 2nd-round pick out of Notre Dame. Gains about 5 yards. Well, this Charger defense was mentioned before. Greg Minuski is now the defensive coordinator, replacing Ron Rivera, who went to Carolina as the head coach of the Panthers. Got very familiar names in terms of the guys up front. Larry English, one of their outside linebackers, is out. They brought in Travis LeBoy. Really interested to see Spikes in the middle, the veteran, and Donald Butler. Young player is going to get his opportunity to start next to Spikes in that linebacking core. A run by Lynch to the 40-yard line. So what do we expect different, Jaws, with San Diego defensively. New coordinator, but will it be similar?
I think it'll be very similar, but Greg Minuski is very aggressive in his approach. And he can be aggressive with this group because they have outstanding corners. When you look at Kason and Jammer, when Kason gets healthy, Eric Weddle, Bob Sanders, you have solid cover guys. That allows you to be more aggressive with your fronts and your blitzes.
It's a 3rd and 1 run for Leon Washington. And a great impact in special teams and 2 kickoff returns for touchdown against the Chargers last year. And 2 first downs picked up by Seattle.
Hey, one big thing for this Charger defense. They lost Kevin Burnett, their leading tackler. Their inside linebacker signed with the Dolphins. Seiler's gone. He went to Kansas City. Stephen Cooper gone. Donald Butler, number 56, will be calling the signals. Really a first-year player, Ron. He was out all last year with an Achilles injury. Keep an eye on Butler running the show for this Charger defense tonight.
Flag is down. Free play for Jackson. Goes down the seam for Zach Miller, his new tight end. And the pass is incomplete. Now, immediate concern in these preseason games, don't get anyone hurt. And Russell Okung, the first-round pick last year.
Defense, number 95. 5-yard penalty. Still first down.
Jerome Boger, the referee. Russell Okung limped off a couple of snaps ago, the left tackle.
But how would you like to be Donald Butler, Mike, getting in the huddle and calling the defense with Takeo Spikes correcting everything you say, Jaws? There's a lot of pressure on this young guy. 3rd-round draft choice, came out of Washington, suffered a terrible injury. There's a lot of eyeballs on Butler tonight.
First and 5 for Jackson. Backside pressure with Okung out of there. Got in a little bit easier, and Jackson just puts it up for grabs as he was going down. And a flag is thrown down as Luis Castillo made the sack. Ball never got back near the line of scrimmage. Was there a receiver in the area? The officials are gathering to help the referee Boger.
Well, take a look at it. Russell Okung, the left tackle, is out of the football game. And when a backup comes in the game, Columbus, you might as well go after him. And that's just what the Chargers did.
But, John, in that situation, Jackson's got to feel that pressure. That sixth sense a quarterback develops. If you don't have the play, throw it away.
There's Tyler Columbus, a fourth-year man out of Colorado. He was with Detroit for a little while, now here with Seattle. And they were trying to keep that first-team offensive line together for a little bit. But Okung, who missed the start of last year with an ankle injury, over there on the sideline, the very first drive of the season, it was intentional grounding, so they move it back to the 34-yard line, a loss of 10.
One of the things I love to watch in these passing situations is the way the Chargers are going to use these 2 safeties, Ron. Eric Weddle, Bob Sanders, versatile safeties. They can cover, they can disguise, they can blitz. Look for Bob Sanders and Eric Weddle to be all over the field in these types of situations for this Charger defense.
Isn't it amazing, John, how the game has evolved, that these safeties are absolutely critical?
Well, on the opposite side, as they were working on the field to get the proper spot here, Pete Carroll's talking to the officials. He will not be smiling when he finds out they're bringing the cart over to bring their starting left tackle, Russell Okung, off the field here in a moment. The grounding makes it 2nd and 21. And Tavares Jackson is flushed again, but he does have this ability to scramble to get out of bounds at the 41-yard line. Pick up a 7.
This is what Tavares Jackson brings to the table, the ability to extend the play. His focus in the pocket was downfield. You'll see as he sets up in the pocket. Look, look, look. Nothing there. Pressure comes his right. Here's what I like about Jackson. The eyes were downfield initially. Once he saw the running lane open up, he picked up 9 yards on the play. A much more manageable 3rd down situation.
So 3rd and a dozen. And they'll run it inside with Leon Washington. He's shy of the first down, just shy of midfield. So there's that first drive for the Seahawks in the books. But the biggest headline of it is right there. So Russell Okung gets brought back to the locker room. Again, he missed the first 3 games last year with an ankle injury, and this is just the worst kind of start for a Seattle team. Punt time for the first time. Stephen Harrison, or Marcus Gilchrist, I should say, cornerback who they want to see in the kick return game, is back deep to receive for the Chargers. The veteran John Ryan punts it and will kill it at the 10-yard line. So 41 on the kick, killed inside the 10, and that's where Phillip Rivers and the Chargers offense will take over. Just over 5 minutes gone by in the first quarter. No score.
This ESPN NFL preseason special is brought to you by Michelin, a better way forward.
A great place to start the season. San Diego, California. Ideal day temperature in the 70s. First preseason game of 4 for the Seahawks and the Chargers. We get our first look at Phillip Rivers, who's been face of the franchise here for this team the last 5 years. Had a great stat season, but did not make the playoffs in 2010. First run with Mike Tolbert, stopped behind the line of scrimmage for a loss of 3 yards. We'll run you through the Chargers lineups here real quickly. Ryan Matthews and Mike Tolbert going to join Jacob Hester as the 3 key backs when the season gets going. So good for them to get Vincent Jackson, no holdout this year. Malcolm Floyd back in the fold. He could have gone elsewhere, decided to stay here. Antonio Gates, always a question. The foot bothering him again, but they're hopeful that they're planning properly to have him available for the regular season. Rivers' first pass is caught by Jackson at the sideline, taken out of bounds by Marcus Trufant.
Well, Michael, make no mistake about it. In his 8th season, clearly the Chargers are Phillip Rivers' team. You walk around the field at practice, you go in the locker room, they know he is the man. You look at last season, he completed balls to 17 different receivers, unheard of. And oh, by the way, his record in 80 games as a starter, 55 and 25. He's a winner.
So good for he and the Chargers to have Jackson back from the very start of this season. No protracted contract holdout. 3rd and a half dozen. And Rivers takes a shot for Jackson. He brings it in to the 38-yard line. A gain of 47.
Well, you can say that Rivers threw it to 17 different receivers, but he only had Vincent Jackson for about 4 games. Right down here, it's going to be too deep with man-to-man underneath. And Phillip Rivers just buys some time in the pocket. You see the outside release by Jackson. I have no idea what Seattle's playing with their safeties, but that is a great throw. Right on the money. And Vincent Jackson, if they get his state of mind back to where it was a couple years ago, put him on your fantasy team. He's going to light it up.
First down throw from the 37. Back to Jackson. Incomplete. Try on the other side. Marcus Trufant on the corner. They mentioned the Vincent Jackson story, the 10-game holdout last year in hopes of getting a big deal. Did not get that. And there's the 2009 numbers. So he comes in 2010. He's banged up. He's not right. And he was one of the 10 plaintiffs in the antitrust suit with the National Football League. He was very clear. I didn't in any way want to stop a deal from happening. But he didn't get his big deal. So he's got a 1-year contract to prove that he deserves a big contract going forward, here or elsewhere. Mike Tolbert with the run. And stopped for a loss of a couple. Cam Chancellor is going to be the starting safety back there with Earl Thomas. Makes a nice play.
You know, Aaron Curry, the 4th pick in the draft from the Seahawks a couple years ago, they have got to get this young man around the football, making plays. Watch him come off the edge and smash Mike Tolbert. You like to see him wrap and finish, but Cam Chancellor does a nice job cleaning up the pile. They need Curry to come alive this year, and they're really impressed with his early start here in training camp.
And they need Chancellor as well, who played that run excellent.
It's Patrick Creighton, who they picked up during last year in motion. Seahawks bring some heat. Rivers rid of it quick. Corey Sperry, the tight end, takes a first down to the 22-yard line. John mentioned how many different pass catchers Rivers had last year. A lot of those guys are still here, and they're very deep at receiver and tight end.
No question about it. And Corey Sparrow is one of those guys that was here last year and filled in admirably. He's lost weight. He almost looks like a wide receiver playing tight end. He runs this little drag underneath, and there is just no one there that's going to run with him. He has the speed. He has the quickness. You get him in space, he will make those explosive plays for Phillip Rivers.
Ryan Matthews now in the game as the deep back. And the first-round pick in 2010 is tackled by David Hawthorne on that Seattle defense. So we've had a significant shift in some personnel here for Seattle. They're missing a couple of guys who will be starters like Red Bryant and Chris Clemens. But Brandon Mebane came back in free agency. They got big. The linebacking core, you used to see Lofa Tatupu in the middle. Nope, parted ways after 6 years. So Hawthorne's there now. In the secondary, Marcus Trufant. We mentioned the two safeties, and we're going to watch Kelly Jennings, one of the corners tonight. He's going to get pushed through the rest of this preseason for that starting job. 2nd and 6. Rivers swings it to Matthews. Good job by Ryan Matthews off a disappointing rookie year. First and goal, San Diego.
Well, here's a guy that has to really pick it up for the Chargers. Matthews had some durability issues coming out of Fresno. Missed 4 games last year. 678 yards rushing. But he's fumbling the football last year. I think he fumbled it 5 times. They need Matthews to become an every down back. And he has got to pick up the third down snaps for Darren Sproles, who left town and went to New Orleans.
From the 9, Matthews. Chance for the tackle, gain of a yard. You talked about the mistakes in his rookie season.
Well, with any running back, you can't play if you're not durable, and you can't play if you don't protect the football. And Matthews had a hard time last year. Ankle injury early, and he fumbled the ball in some key situations. The thing that's really surprising to me, Ron, is Matthews showed up here at training camp not in tip-top shape. He's been working on his conditioning on the side. They need this guy to grow up in a hurry and really become a force for the Chargers.
Rivers coming with that 4 wide look. He's got him spread out.
On 2nd and goal, he throws to Tolbert, who takes it in. Touchdown, San Diego.
Well, it's a 95-yard drive, Jaws.
Well, this is what the San Diego Chargers want to get out of their running backs. This is critical. You get Tolbert singled up in the flat, throw a little bit behind him. They need this production out of those backs.
Now, that score was close there at the goal line, and there's a new rule this year. Every score will be confirmed by the replay booth. So Jerome Boger was looking down at a pager that he has on the front there, and the pager says confirm or review. It was paged from the booth after they looked at the replay, confirmed. So the touchdown stands. The extra point is added by Nate Kading. San Diego leads 7-0 after every score this year in the NFL. We're going to confirm it in the replay booth just to make sure that no scoring plays are called wrong. John will talk about that later on.
Can't wait.
Back here in San Diego, 7-0 Chargers. We have the beginning and the end of week 1 of the preseason. We'll head to Houston, and on Monday night we'll see the Jets, and here you can see the not just Mark Sanchez and the Jets and Matt Schaub and the Texans and everybody else involved there, but Plaxico Burress, his return to the National Football League. So the Jets and the Texans on Monday night. Monday Night Countdown gets us started at 7 Eastern Time. Great drive for the Chargers. Now this kickoff from the 35-yard line. We mentioned it's moved up 5 yards. See, every player has their foot on the 30-yard line. That's the maximum run-up you can get covering kicks this year. Just to be able to go back as far as you wanted. You got to start at the 35, which gives you more room to return a kick if it's that deep. But Golden Tate chooses not to.
That's really exciting. I mean, we're going to see a lot of touchbacks, Mike. And I don't know if that's good or bad.
Pete Carroll having some conversations with his defense after San Diego walked down the field on the opening drive. Second drive coming up here for Seattle. In that very first drive, Russell Okung injuring that left ankle, it appears, as you see without any significant contact. That's a little bit of what we've been pointing to, guys, from an injury standpoint.
A non-contact injury. That you can run all you want, do all those calisthenics you want. When you're leaning on people, that's when injuries happen.
From the 20, Leon Washington, as that first-team offense stays in for a gain of about 5 yards. We mentioned earlier that there's a new offensive line coach in Tom Cable, and there's change in the offensive line. There's the group that started most of the end of the season and the playoff game against the Bears. And the difference, the 2011 guys, Gallery from Oakland, Unger, who only played the first game last year, then got hurt, and Moffitt and Carpenter. Moffitt, the third-round pick out of Wisconsin. Carpenter, the first-rounder out of Alabama. So brand new guys, rookies on the right side of the Seattle line. Tavares Jackson hit as he throws, complete to Golden Tate, but only a yard as Steve Gregory wraps him up.
You know, James Carpenter was a left tackle at Alabama. He played left tackle for the Crimson Tide for 2 years. Then he went to the Senior Bowl, really looked good as a guard. And now here he is playing right tackle in the National Football League. Everything's going to be different from his pass sets to his stance. Now he's in a right-handed stance, and he's going to be tested by some of the premier rushers in the world. And Moffitt played some center and guard at Wisconsin, but two very good prospects.
Jackson, none of his receivers open downfield. This is something he brings to this Seahawks team that they did not have with Matt Hasselbeck last year, and he moves the chains with a first down.
Boy, he certainly does have some versatility. You'll see Tavares Jackson. He sets up in here. 3rd down and 3. Critical downs in football games. I like the movement. Looking for a pass lane. Get rid of the football. Now no one's open. See that first down? Pick it up. That's Tavares Jackson. That's what he does best. But I'd still like to see him work within the timing and rhythm of the passing game.
Well, 1st and 10 run for Leon Washington. Shy of the 35-yard line, a gain of 3. You know, one good thing for Tavares Jackson, the offensive coordinator he's had throughout his NFL career is here. Darrell Bevel is the offensive coordinator. He was there in Minnesota with Jackson. He got the job in Seattle.
System familiarity, so important for a quarterback. You come in, you don't feel like you have to learn a new language. You know the terminology, the reads, you know where to go with the football. Very beneficial for Jackson.
Washington runs to the left. Leon submarined around the 39-yard line. John, here's a big piece to this Seattle equation this year.
There's no question. Leon Washington is a flashback. Had a serious injury 2 years ago. We all know he's a dynamic kick returner. But I think this zone running game that Tom Cable is implementing really favors Washington. He's a one-cut runner, very decisive back, and I think he's a force coming out of the backfield as a pass receiver. Look for him to get a few more totes here before the night's out.
Get him the ball in space, John. That's where he makes plays.
Again, snap count caught the Chargers, so Jackson has a free play. Just throws it up towards Zach Miller, and it's incomplete, but the penalty will give him a first down.
Well, I think you're going to see a lot of pre-snap penalties, not only in the preseason, but in the early part of the regular season. All this time that's been lost in the offseason.
Offside, defense, number 97. 5-yard penalty results in a first down.
And it goes for both sides, offensive linemen, defensive linemen. They've just missed a lot of work, and it's going to take its toll in a lot of areas, and pre-snap penalties is going to be a big one, Ron.
I totally agree with you, John. I call it lockout football. I think we're going to see some chaotic football through this preseason and a few games into the regular season.
Thomas Clayton, third-year man out of Kansas State, is the running back. And Jackson throws his way out of the backfield, and Clayton couldn't pull it in. John, I was in Seattle, watched their padded practice on Monday, and it was full of whistles and pre-snap penalties.
I think there's going to be a lot of issues. You know, I don't know where you start, but pre-snap penalties is going to be big. I've seen 2 tonight here in the first quarter. I think tackling is going to be a problem also. So much time is missed on run fits and pursuit angles. I think you're going to see fumbles, bad ball security. We've already seen one injury and heard about a dozen Achilles injuries. There's a litany of things where the players are going to be behind. As you see a big sack right there for the Chargers, number 49, Gamble.
Darryl Gamble, the rookie out of Georgia, was running right through the would-be blocker and sacks Tavares Jackson for a big loss.
Darryl Gamble does an outstanding job. Pass rush pressure is about being persistent. He's being blocked. He's not giving up. Watch him just take on the back, push him back in the backfield, fight to get back there. And you can see the difference. When you get a mismatch of a linebacker on a diminutive running back like, Michael Robinson, not that diminutive, but he handled him.
Yeah. That's disappointing from a veteran like Robinson.
Yes, it is.
Added weight to get up to 240. 3rd and 23. And Jackson finally goes down.
Well, there's just not a lot of rhythm right now in this Seattle pass offense. Credit the San Diego Chargers for doing a nice job mixing their rush patterns. Here's just a 3-man rush from San Diego. And Tavares has plenty of time. There's just nobody open. But you have to avoid these negative plays, Ron. You got to preserve field position, throw the ball away.
Yeah, and I like what the Chargers did, John. They locked up those checkdowns. The quarterback went in trouble looking for that check down, but you see the Chargers did a really good job of taking advantage of the pass rush pressure, squeezing the windows, and getting him sacked.
First quarter in the books here in San Diego. Chargers 7, Seahawks nothing. Getting going our Monday Night Football season here on a Thursday. John Ryan set to kick it away for the Seahawks again. See if Marcus Gilchrist gets a chance to return one. Their catch signaled and made. The kick was 43 yards. And the Chargers take over at their own 31-yard line. Philip Rivers says that one drive in the book, it's ball cap the rest of the way. We'll see Billy Volek come out with the San Diego offense after this. Back in San Diego, Chargers on top 7-0. Terrific 10-play, 89-yard drive for Philip Rivers and the starting offense. And now Billy Volek comes in, 35 years old, 12th year in the league. And this guy is a California native. Had the opportunity to look elsewhere and decided to stay here with the Chargers.
I love this guy, Volek. He's got the best job in the league.
Jordan Todman, the 6th-round pick from the University of Connecticut, is the running back and catches the pass. From the 37-yard line goes Todman. We'll talk about Rivers one drive tonight.
Well, he was very efficient, no question. Philip Rivers said he would start this way. He's a veteran quarterback. Gets the quick out to find his rhythm. I love the deep ball. Nice air under it. Outside to Vincent Jackson. Big play. And the one thing they always do a great job of using their tight ends in San Diego. But the key to the Chargers this year is going to be backs coming out of the backfield. No Darren Sproles, running back by committee, catching the football. Rivers very sharp.
See if it was Raheem Bronk or Steve Schilling, the right tackle, removed.
False starts. Offense, number 70. 5-yard penalty. Still second down.
Schilling, 6th-round pick out of Michigan. Well, the offense looked really good, and if there were teams that you felt good about coming into the preseason, it's San Diego. Continuity, and Rivers led probably one of the better sets of players-only workouts during the lockout.
Yeah, you know, for the most part, Mike, and I've said this throughout this off-season, most of those workouts were a joke. But Philip Rivers did a good job of keeping his receivers and guys intact and getting quality work.
Volek is pressured and sacked. That was a wide-open shot Jimmy Wilkerson had. Ball is ruled down at the sack spot. Wilkerson, former New Orleans Saint, with 2 sacks for the Saints last year.
You know, Jimmy Wilkerson played for me in Tampa, and, you know, new defensive line coach Todd Wash brought Jimmy Wilkerson with them here from the Saints. He coached him in Tampa, but they need another nickel pass rusher, and Wilkerson is a versatile guy who can play a lot of different positions. That's a good get-off by Wilkerson.
A good add to this defense as well. 3rd and 20. Here is Todman, very productive against some weak defenses in the Big East, but still a good runner who they've seen a lot of in camp and we'll see a lot of through the preseason.
Well, this is what I want to see right here, this Chargers special teams. We have not seen Cypher's punt tonight, but this was the area that Norv Turner knew he had to correct from last year. They had 4 punts blocked, had about 3 others that were deflected or close to being blocked. They've got a new special teams coach here, Rich Bisaccia. He's got his eyes on all 11 of these guys, I promise you.
Charger fans happy to see that. Good kick by Cyphers, 47 yards. Golden Tate from the 20s brought down at the 37-yard line. Now we have a marker down in the middle of the field. John, you mentioned Rich Bisaccia. You're very familiar with him. He was your special teams coach in Tampa.
Very good teacher. Preparation very important to him, and he's great at presenting the game plan.
Holding. Seattle, number 39. 10-yard penalty. Seattle keeps the ball. First down.
Kennard cocks the flag. Will step out. Pete Carroll sends his offense back out. Down 7. Familiar face to these San Diego fans in the Seattle huddle as the quarterback. The guy they took in the 3rd round, 2006. Charlie Whitehurst, who was traded to the Seahawks before last season. Some thought he'd get an opportunity to start. Ends up they brought in Tavares Jackson. Whitehurst has been named the backup. Pete Carroll said Jackson's the starter, Whitehurst is the backup because Jackson knows the system better. Whitehurst gets his first throw, complete to Isaiah Stanback, and we have a SportsCenter in-game update with Chris Berman.
All right, Michael, thank you. Who knows if this is a Super Bowl preview, the I-95 Bowl. Vince Young on 3rd and 14, looking for Philadelphia against Baltimore. Very Vic-like to Chad Hall for 32 yards. Alex Henry, the 8th I am, kicks a field goal. That was a draft pick. New kicker for Philly. 10-3, they lead it, Michael.
All right, Chris, thank you. We have 4 other games going on, so we'll stay updated throughout the night. First look at games around the league. Thomas Clayton, the first down carry there. Jaws, a lot of new guys living in your neighborhood in Philadelphia.
Well, there's no question the Philadelphia Eagles have gone out and assembled a tremendous collection of talent. But we all know football is the consummate team game. How quickly will these talented players assimilate into the Eagles' offense and defense? Only time will tell.
3rd and a yard, and here's Thomas Clayton again, and he's stopped short of the first down. Gimdi Nwabo made the play earlier on the big sack. Knocked the ball out and was there with the rest of the defensive group, Darryl Gamble and company, to stop him shy of a first down.
Pad level wins in the National Football League or any form of football. The San Diego Chargers on 3rd and short dominated the line of scrimmage. Boy, when you get the nose tackle getting penetration, no chance to get any positive yards.
Get a good look at Marcus Gilchrist, the rookie out of Clemson, the 2nd-round pick. Need of a return man here in San Diego now. Darren Sproles' departure earlier. This is a returnable 42-yarder, muffed by Gilchrist, and he's on it at the 26-yard line. He's going to get plenty of opportunities to catch punts here in this preseason. Chargers, about 4 minutes gone here in this 2nd quarter, opening preseason game for these teams. And the free agents they acquired from other teams only started practicing a week ago. So there are a lot of players, not as much for Norv Turner on their side of the ball with A.J. Smith, the general manager. And they did keep, as John mentioned, 11 of the 15 free agents they had coming into this year. A lot of guys who have not seen a ton of practice time. So we'll see some young players like Jordan Todman here tonight across the 30 to the 32-yard line.
Yeah, but I'll tell you one guy they're going to miss. That's Darren Sproles. He left town and went to New Orleans. They're going to miss him because he was a force coming out of the backfield. Nobody had more 3rd down catches than Sproles, and he was an outstanding pickup artist. He took care of Phillip Rivers. And when you needed a big play in the kicking game, Darren Sproles was the guy that gave it to the Chargers. They're going to miss this guy, and it might take 2 or 3 Chargers to replace him.
Todman again from the 32, going to get a couple of yards. Matt McCoy, former Eagle, made the tackle there. So that 3rd down back roll, is there one individual on this team, Jaws, that you think can take the whole roll over that Sproles had?
You know, I don't think so. Sproles was so efficient running the football, catching the football, and picking up the blitz, as John just alluded to. So you're almost going to be a running back by committee in those nickel situations. And Jordan Todman, one of those guys that they see a bright future for. In fact, I was watching in practice, and the running back coach, Ollie Wilson, was coaching him hard. That's a good indication they're counting on him to help.
Fake from Volek. Throws complete to midfield. For the first down, Sehi Ajira-Tutu out of Fresno State, who came in when they lost a lot of players to injury last year.
You know, Billy Volek's a good veteran NFL quarterback. The play-action pass is going to fool the linebackers. He comes up and just stares down his primary receiver. He makes an accurate throw. Billy Volek has started 10 games in 8 years. And hey, this is a guy that I'd like to have this kid's job. He backs up Phillip Rivers, about $3 million a year. He's a valuable guy. When they've asked him to do something, he's done it.
From midfield, here's his shot toward Ajira-Tutu again. Incomplete. Step-for-step in coverage was Richard Sherman, the 5th-round pick out of Stanford. John, you mentioned that with Volek. Just remember back to 2007. He goes on the road when Rivers gets hurt in Indianapolis with that knee injury and wins the playoff game with a big drive. There aren't many guys with backup quarterbacks in the league who've won a road playoff game at Peyton Manning's place.
No question. And he really helps Phillip Rivers with their weekly independent studies. What a great resource for Phillip Rivers and Norv Turner to have a veteran like Billy Volek, who's very reliable and talented.
Again, it's Todman. Nearly 1,700 yards last year for the Big East Offensive Player of the Year into Seattle territory. And if you're wondering about quarterbacks, the third quarterback here for San Diego is Scott Tolzien. He's a rookie out of Wisconsin, and we'll see him a lot in the second half.
We may see the entire second half with Scott Tolzien, and we'll talk about him when he gets to the game. But I kind of like the guy. I saw some good things out of practice yesterday, and looking at tape on him from his career at Wisconsin, he's a tough guy, man. He'll take a hit and look down that gun barrel. But right now, it's Billy Volek's time.
One of those third down situations. Volek to the sideline, incomplete. Intended for Warren Robinson, who was with St. Louis.
Now, here's a guy that I really want to keep an eye on. Brandon Browner, a 6'4" corner who was an all-star in Canada the last 4 years. Pete Carroll came in last night raving about this guy's bump and run, ball skills, his talent. Have you ever seen a 6'4" corner? This guy is 6'4".
I don't believe so. 6'4", and we all know Pete loves those tall corners. You had Browner out there at 6'4". You see Richard Sherman at 6'3". He loves those long, physical type of corners.
Another punt time here. Or Mike Cyphers trying to become a better directional kicker, pinning teams deep. And that one's unreturnable for Golden Tate, so he fair catches it at the 9. Halfway through the second, 7-0 San Diego. Well, is it San Diego's year? This was a division champ 4 straight years. So supplanted last year by Kansas City. Those always slow starts under Norv Turner here for the Chargers finally caught up with them last year. Whitehurst first down, deep ball for Golden Tate. Incomplete. Dante Hughes back there on the coverage. Remember Charlie Whitehurst's dad, those of you who are old enough, David Whitehurst was a backup with the Packers. Charlie was born in Green Bay. Very productive in his 4 years at Clemson. Was in the quarterback picture here with San Diego. Traded to Seattle last year, and he did come in and win the game they needed to win. Matt Hasselbeck was hurt, Jaws, and got that playoff clinching win over the Rams at home. On the 9-yard line, a run by Chase Reynolds to the 13.
Yeah, Mike, that's why it's most surprising that Tavares Jackson was brought, at least surprising to me, because I thought Whitehurst was going to be the guy that would be the eventual heir apparent when Hasselbeck left. It hasn't worked out that way. Apparently what they saw on the practice field and the minimal time that Whitehurst got a year ago, he did not impress them enough, so they go out and get Tavares Jackson. Whitehurst, the guy to me, just needs reps, just needs work. You watch his skill set, it's okay.
Third down and 6. And Whitehurst Scrambling again to pick up a first down over at the 20-yard line. He was chased to the sideline. You know, guys, what interested me was when Pete Carroll came out and said, Tavares Jackson, we've got him, we signed him, he's going to be our #1 quarterback. Charlie Whitehurst will be our backup at the start of the season. If he wants to get the starting job, he can compete later on in the year.
And he will compete later on, but he doesn't understand the terminology and the nuances of this system. I believe once he understands it, he'll be able to challenge for a starting job.
It's kind of odd for a coach to do, isn't it?
I like all this competition, but I'd rather have a Pro Bowl quarterback and no competition, to be honest with you.
Chase Reynolds carries to the 23-yard line.
You know, San Diego is showcasing their first-round draft choice right now. Corey Legent, number 94 out of Illinois. They're expecting big things out of this guy. Not only as a run defender, but as a pass rusher in third down situations. Here he is coming across the formation. He's a high-effort, high-motor player, and I think that's what Greg Minuski and Norv Turner like the most about Legent.
18th pick of the draft. Whitehurst's pass is deflected by Carly Iheanacho.
You know, Legent was a junior that came out of Illinois. A lot of people thought he was going to be an under tackle in a 4-3 defense. But here he is in San Diego playing the 5-technique defensive end. He is a productive, high-energy inside presence, and they need that here in San Diego. They're very excited about his hand usage, his ability to get off blocks and finish. Legent's going to be a good San Diego Charger, I think.
Third and 8, Chargers bring 5. Whitehurst didn't catch the snap clean. It runs into Vaughn Martin. The loss of a couple will bring up a fourth down. Were you surprised that a primarily 3-4 team in San Diego took a guy like Legent?
I was a little bit more surprised that some of the classic 4-3 teams didn't take Legent a little bit earlier. But the way they play here in San Diego, they are a 3-4 team, but there's plenty of nickel snaps, Mike, and Legent's going to get a chance to rush inside over the guards, and I think he'll be a force.
Gilchrist dropped the last punt from John Ryan. 43-yarder, caught this one with room at the 36 and brings it back to the 48-yard line. Turn of a dozen, good field position for the Chargers after a 30-yard net kick. 5:23 left in our first half. First nationally televised game, and we've already hit a couple of the rule changes. Just want to remind you, if you're just tuning in, the kickoff spot has been moved up from the 30 to the 35 for player safety reasons, to make that clear. And you can only get a 5-yard running start for the team covering the kick. And anytime there is a score, even a field goal, even a safety, the replay booth will look at it and confirm. So if a score is ruled on the field, you don't have to use a challenge to make sure if it was or was not a score. And there's a 15-yard penalty continuing to protect players who are deemed defenseless when guys leave their feet and launch. And there's been expansion of what a defenseless player is. So they roll it back on the field. Jordan Todman's been busy tonight. Gained about 7 yards, and a horse collar flag comes in there. It looked to be that he was pulled down from behind. That's timely because that rule has been adjusted a little bit. Used to be a horse collar, you had to bring the guy all the way down. Now it's a horse collar, even if you just buckle his knees. Again,
on the tackle,
player safety.
Personal foul, horse collar tackle, defense, number 50. 15-yard penalty, automatic first down.
Look, I'm all for player safety, too. And here's a horse tackle. You can see it for yourselves. I guess that's a horse tackle. I'm all for player safety, too. But the most exciting play in football is the opening kickoff. And I used to sit in my office, and the officials would see if we had the K balls ready. We got to move it back to the 30. There's not enough returns. I've seen 2 touchbacks tonight. I don't know if that's good for the game or not, personally.
I don't believe it is, John. It's good for safety. We all agree on that.
28, Sperry with the catch. Just a couple for Corey Sperry. And to that point also, there's the lining up of the players. We told you you have to have a hand or a foot touching the 30-yard line with the kickoff spot at the 35. Used to be you could start farther back and get more of a running start.
There you see that 5-yard area. Everyone touching the line. I think eventually what you're going to see, guys, are these kickers who are so darn good, not just kick it to the back of the end zone, but hang time. Not only try to pin the team at the 20, but get them inside the 20, allow those coverage guys to pin the offense back down.
I think that part of the rule is going to have a significant impact as well. Todman on the inside run for a couple of yards. Give him 2.5 yards.
Let me show you guys what I want to see. Leon Washington. I'm fighting for Leon Washington. I want to pay my money to come to the stadium to see this guy return kickoffs because not many do it like Leon Washington. Last year, he ripped San Diego with 2 kickoff returns for touchdowns. Now, we're going to take this play out of football for player safety reasons, and I've already said I'm a big believer in player safety, but when you take Leon Washington, Devin Hester, you take Darren Sproles and some of these magnificent returners out of pro football, it's not the same, Ron.
Don't forget our guy Josh Cribbs.
Yeah, Josh Cribbs.
He's tweeting about it already tonight from the 22. A 3rd and 4th throw to Todman. Open field, going to get a first down. As he's pulled down to the sideline over at the 16-yard line.
Todman been very impressive so far, running the ball tough inside, showed good hands out on the perimeter, understanding where the first down marker is. As we already alluded to a couple times, with the Chargers, you have to catch the football out of the backfield. Here you see Volek down the field, knows nothing there, dump it off. Todman very aware of where the first down yardage is and picks it up.
This is where I want to see Pete Carroll call a blitz and play man coverage with these big corners, Jaws.
Timeout taken here by the Chargers. 3:08. San Diego on the move, trying to add to their lead. Back at Qualcomm Stadium, San Diego. Mike Tirico, John Gruden, Ron Jaworski, Susie Culver on the sideline here in San Diego. 7-0 Chargers scored on the opening drive and in the red zone on this Billy Volek-led drive. Back to work with Jordan Todman. 13-yard line.
You know, and speaking to Norv Turner yesterday, he talked about being efficient in the red zone. And he said it starts with the running game. You've got to be able to smash the football in there, get first downs, and drive it into the end zone. I think you'll see that physical approach from the Chargers now that they're in that red zone.
Colin Baxter out of Arizona is in there playing center. Getting a look at that youngster. As that pass is deflected. Alan Branch, who's a free agent acquisition for this Seattle team. He was out of Michigan. He's with the Cardinals, former second-round pick, high second-round pick, too, of Arizona. Made the play.
Yeah, you'll see Volek here looking to get Todman over the middle. They get those backs and those isolation routes. He had him open, but he had that elbow down, a little sidearm that way. Easy ball for the defense, you know, to bat down. Quarterbacks, and I'm sure Volek, if he had a lot more experience, you learn how to change your platform, throw around people, throw over people. Didn't do a good job. He busted Branch right in the chest.
Seahawks rush 4 for Lauren Robinson, and there's that big cornerback again. Brandon Browner on the coverage with a field goal attempt coming up.
I think you need big corners. I've never seen a corner this big, but when you get down in the red zone and they start throwing these fly stops and these jump balls, that's a nice job by Browner, whipping his head around and using his long arms to his advantage. Good play.
You know, when I was up in Seattle Monday and watched their practice, I watched him go one-on-one with Sidney Rice and Mike Williams several times, and he kept making plays and making plays. He's a guy out of Canada. He was a little bit older. He's 27 years old. Played at Oregon State, played pretty well. Nate Kading, the most accurate kickers in the NFL, knocks it in from 32 yards. He's the most accurate kicker in NFL history, and he gives the Chargers a 10-0 lead. But John, I know you're looking forward to it. We have another kickoff coming up. You're excited about that.
Touchback.
Well, I am. You know, there's so many guys, especially in this AFC West, Ron. Jacoby Ford is out there in Oakland. McCleskey out in Kansas City. And there's the statistics. Jump in there, Mike.
Yeah, you go back to the last time the kickoff location was moved from the 35 to the 30. They moved it back, and it cut touchbacks from 27% to 7%. And you saw kickoff returns come back in the game with 16 touchdowns that year.
Yeah, like there was a time when the league loved to have these kickoff returns. You know, they moved the ball back so they could have more returns. John alluded to it. arguably the most exciting play in football is a kickoff, and yet I think you're going to see over 50% of the kickoffs this year are going to be touchbacks. So I think you're taking away an exciting play from the fans.
And you want to talk about an exciting play for the fans. This kickoff coverage for the Chargers, this was really exciting last year from a bad standpoint. This is a team, this kickoff coverage team, guys like Mouton, their second-round draft choice, Bird, number 97. They have got to run down here and cover this kick.
Ricky Schmidt is really a third kicker here with the kickoff. This one is not a touchback. Didn't hit it all that cleanly, and Golden Tate takes it just shy of the 30-yard line. So that makes Josh Cribbs happy. We mentioned Cribbs, the terrific returner for Cleveland. He tweeted tonight, all these touchbacks, SMH, and Jaws, as you know, that's shaking my head.
Absolutely. I'm
Twitter
into that,
language. Not me, says 9 yards deep, we're bringing it out. 9.5 yards deep, I'll think about it. So
but I think
we'll see if people bring it out from a little bit deeper in the end zone.
Yeah, and I think Rich Bisaccia, the special teams coach of the Chargers right there, wanted to get some work at covering kicks. How do you evaluate your coverage teams if you don't get that opportunity?
Charlie Whitehurst will get a shot at a 2-minute drill here with 2:16 to go. Leon Washington surprisingly in the game with a marker down. He's down at the 37-yard line. We'll check the flag.
A little holding here.
During the run, early, offense, number 78, 10-yard penalty, replay, first down.
That's Tyler Columbus. He came in early in the game at left tackle for Russell Okung, the offensive tackle for the Seahawks. Was injured in that first drive, left ankle injury. Seahawks now confirming that the x-rays were negative on that ankle. We'll wait to see what the injury turns out to be.
Mike, the other thing on these kickoffs, I'm going to watch very carefully the impact it has on offensive play. It's very difficult in the National Football League to go 80 yards for a touchdown. I think it's about 1 out of every 12 drives go 80 yards for a touchdown. So clearly, it's going to be a lot more pressure on quarterbacks to sustain offense down the field.
We couldn't wait to see some football. Phillip Rivers couldn't wait to play some football. Had that first taste of real football after the lockout field.
It felt good. It felt good. The guys were excited. The atmosphere here was good, and it was good. We wanted to be crisp, and we were that first drive.
Well, one of the big questions is who fills the shoes of Darren Sproles? How would you evaluate your young backs on that opening drive?
Yeah, well, they did a good job. You know, it was nice to obviously Toll with a touchdown catch, but it was nice to hit Ryan on a little swing out there. And I tell you, when he gets it out there in space, he's good with it. So it's going to be nice to get him more and more involved in the passing game.
You told me you guys were humbled by not making it to the playoffs. It's been those slow starts. What's been the attitude to really fix that once and for all?
Well, it's been just that. We were humbled and we're hungry, and we've added some veteran free agents along with bringing in a lot of the guys that we already had here, and there's an attitude and a focus here that's really good, and we just need to sustain it now over the next 3-4 weeks of camp as we head to the opener.
A great season, Phillip.
Thanks, Susie.
All right, Susie, thank you. Right now, there's the 8 letters mentioned the most around the Chargers headquarters. Don't let us get off to a slow start. Whitehurst throwing the screen to Washington. Picked up as he moves to the 23-yard line. Darryl Stuckey, second-year man out of Kansas, made the play.
And Stuckey did a tremendous job. When you get Washington in space, you always have a chance for a big play. Stuckey knifed through a would-be blocker and made the play.
Timeout taken here with 1:50 to go. Chargers trying to get the ball back, get down to 1, and we have 4 other games going on this opening night. The preseason, Chris Berman standing by with Tom Jackson and Adam Schefter. Talk about the Eagles in action. I'm going to skip the Dream Team moniker.
Yeah, thanks a lot.
Tim Tebow just came in the game in Denver. He's thrown a couple of questionable passes already. You guys love the highlights of the Broncos. And Tiger at the PGA, 77.
Stricker shot a 63. Wouldn't even bring him up.
You just did, John. Nice, you know?
77. John has that after 9 holes.
Second and 16. And Washington is obliterated by the free agent from Georgia. Darrell Gamble makes another play.
But Darrell Gamble comes right off the edge. He's unblocked. They're lucky that didn't cause a fumble. You'd expect Whitehurst to see this blitz coming off the closed side here. Watch it coming off the tight end side. That's what I call a dead play, Jaws. It's got no chance.
Yeah, no question about it. As a quarterback, he was in his cadence, really couldn't get out of it. And you always look for guys that flash in the preseason. Right now, Greg Mineski in that sign goes, man, look at Gamble. Look at him fly around. That's what you'd like to see out of guys. Pull the cork and go out and play.
They do it every year, these Chargers. You know, Mike Tolbert, their running back, undrafted out of Coastal Carolina. They had Stephen Cooper playing linebacker for years here. A lot of players that are undrafted just show up here, come out of nowhere. Maybe this Gamble's another guy.
Well, that is some of the question about this lack of an offseason. Those undrafted free agents who would have been in camp right after the draft missed the OTAs, missed many camp action, and they have been dumped into the deep end with 2 weeks to get to the NFL, figure it out, and try to make an impression. San Diego's out of timeouts. They run Leon Washington, and Seattle offense does not look good. Corey Legit, the first-round pick for the Chargers, makes the play.
Well, that's too legit to quit right there, Jaws. I knew that was coming. Watch the instant penetration by Legit. This guy's got the speed to make plays outside the hash. Nice start for the rookie out of Illinois.
Nice start. Tremendous start.
Holding defense on the nose tackle. The 5-yard penalty results in an automatic first down.
Maybe that's why he was so clean.
We just showed the ice, so I didn't see the holding call. Well, that'll give Whitehurst and this Seahawk offense a chance to get some 2-minute work here.
Well, they've shown absolutely nothing to this point offensively.
Norv Turner was using the timeouts hoping to get his side. That 2-minute drill, only 65 yards for the Seahawks here in this first half. That pass intended for John Carlson is incomplete. Gamble again, this time in coverage. And we mentioned Carlson. They get Zach Miller really at the end of the big-name free agency availability. Surprised many people, including Carlson, who has been brought in. And they said, look, we're going to use some 2 tight end sets here with you and Zach Miller. See if they can maximize that.
And I think it's a good move. I think when you have a quarterback like Tavares Jackson that can move the bootlegs and the waggles, will play to his game. You can do it with 2 tight ends on the field a lot easier.
25, ball is complete to Isaiah Stanback, former college quarterback.
I think it's a big deal. I think it's a credit to Tom Cable, the offensive line coach, who was the head coach of the Raiders. You know, Robert Gallery, Zach Miller, 2 outstanding football players. I'm sure they had a lot of trust and confidence that Tom Cable would deliver for them as well as Pete Carroll.
Whitehurst to Carlson, first down, going to get out of bounds and stop the clock. He was thrown out there by C.J. Wallace. Played his ball up in Seattle, University of Washington guy. That's a good point you make, John, because Tom Cable knows those guys very well. He was in the meeting room with them throughout his Raider days.
Yes, he was. And I think, too, watching this 2-minute situation, just take a look at the conditioning of the Charger defensive linemen and the Seattle Seahawk offensive linemen. This is where that lack of off-season training will show the most, Jaws.
The 38, Whitehurst. Hit as he threw, caught by Washington to the 44-yard line. Seahawks will stop it here with 1:03 left.
Well, you get a good matchup. You get Washington on Bird, and I tell you, that's a play where if you can break the tackle in those man coverage schemes, you got an opportunity for a big play. Good tackle by Bird.
Darrell Bevel and Tom Cable, 2 new offensive faces on this staff. Jeremy Bates was the offensive coordinator last year, and this is what we were discussing. Tom Cable certainly gave a seal of approval, because when you're acquiring guys in free agency, you're going to go down the hall if you're the head coach and ask him, right?
There's no doubt. And Tom Cable did an excellent job as a head coach with the Raiders. And a lot of people don't know this. He's an outstanding offensive line, period. He did it at a lot of different places along the way. I feel like there's a homecoming here tonight, Jaws. I see Tom Cable, Norv Turner. I'm up here. It's like a former Raider head coaching reunion.
We going to have a party after the game or what?
Chargers show blitz, bring most of it. Whitehurst going to gain a couple. One more call for Darrell Gamble. And a timeout taken by the Seahawks now with 58 seconds left. This is a nice place for you to come to, John. You had a good afternoon here once, I remember.
Yeah, that was a great day.
John's team, of course, the Bucks beat the Raiders in the Super Bowl, and it was here in San Diego.
We were staying over there at Torrey Pines. They had a nice golf course there. Of course, I never got to play there. But after that game, you know, when you become the world champions, You know, I'll never forget that. That was the greatest day of my professional life, except for working with you guys.
Well, thank you very much.
Not you, Ron.
You're a phony in mid-season in form already, right?
Well, the shots are coming.
That Super Bowl, that was no break in between from the championship game to the Super Bowl week, if I remember.
Yeah, that's one of the few times that they didn't give you 2 weeks to prepare. And we had a long way to come down here from Tampa. But, boy, our players, coaches, they did a great job.
3rd and 2 here for Whitehurst and the Seahawks. Try Isaiah Stanback through his hands and incomplete. Seattle fans remember Stanback as the University of Washington star quarterback. He had a foot injury up there, but was also the most outstanding player during one of his years there in Washington. He was with the Cowboys and the Patriots. Tore his Achilles last year and getting back to health this year.
Yeah, and I love Greg Minuski. He dials up the blitz. That means you got one-on-one on the outside. And Whitehurst does find that one-on-one, underthrows it a little bit. But Minuski in mid-season form coming with pressure. Less than a minute to go on 3rd and 2.
That's their 2nd-round draft choice, Marcus Gilchrist in the coverage. That's what you want to see from your rookies.
Fair caught by Brian Walters out of Cornell, who's done a few nice things during the Chargers camp in a long field with no timeouts and 44 seconds to go. Here at the quarterback ESPN, we continue with that in the Elite 11, which has always identified some of the great high school quarterbacks in the league. Seeing the process of how it's being pared down, the regionals, 24 elite high school quarterbacks, workouts, drills, 7-on-7. You'll see Year of the Quarterback Elite 11 regionals tomorrow night, 7 Eastern, 4 out here on the West Coast. Volek takes over from the 17. There's Jordan Todman with screen action, only a couple of yards. KJ Wright, 4th-round pick at Mississippi State, who Pete Carroll's very excited about, a long, rangy linebacker and his impact.
Played all over at Mississippi State, inside, outside linebacker. Long legs. Rare do you see a 6'4" corner, and it's rare that you see a 6'4" middle linebacker. But Pete Carroll likes big people. And he's got some big prospects this year in this young Seattle defense.
Pete Carroll was comparing Wright to Lambert and Ham. Now, of course, maybe in stature, they've got a long way to go to have that kind of performance on the field.
In physical size only, right? Yes. Halftime here. Pete turned 60 after week 1, but he can still motor there. Seattle didn't get into Charger territory. San Diego leads 10-0. Chris Berman now. Toyota halftime show.
All right, Michael, thank you very much. It's just good to have football back, isn't it?
It's nice to hear that music again as football season is back. Quarter 3. Preseason game 1 here in San Diego. 10-0 Chargers over the Seahawks. Mike Tirico, John Gruden, Ron Jaworski. We talked about the quality of football with no real offseason. What'd you think of the first half, Josh?
Yeah, not very good from the Seattle Seahawks. And I thought we'd see more of a conviction to run the football, their power running game. You know, Tom Cable coming in with that offensive line, get them off the ball. They didn't move the ball at all.
They've only been practicing a week, man. Just relax.
You still got to hit somebody.
I was really impressed with what the San Diego Chargers first-string offense did. 87-yard drive, and it looked easy. And Phillip Rivers must have hit 4 or 5 different receivers. A thing of beauty.
And Brian Walters going to take a kickoff out, John. Here is a kickoff return. And the free agent rookie from Cornell takes it to the 24-yard line. As the second half gets underway, and we'll see, well, first a flag, and then we'll see some changes in the quarterback spot here during this second half. You're getting a look at Scott Tolzien, the rookie out of Wisconsin.
On the kickoff, offside, number 35. The 5-yard penalty will be added to the end of the run. First down.
And that'll take it to the 29-yard line, and man who played his last competitive football game out here in Southern California in the Rose Bowl with Wisconsin. Scott Tolzien takes over.
And he played very well in that game, but my goodness, he's had about 8 days to prepare for his first game in the National Football League. Oh, that's a lot of pressure on the young man.
6'3", 210. As tosses to Isaac Odom, who's a rookie out of Minnesota Duluth. Very productive running back, gains a couple of yards. Let's look at Tolzien's Wisconsin resume.
Yeah, the one thing is I prepared for the draft and looked at Scott. Well, I thought he was tough, you know? And that's one of the attributes you have to have in the National Football League is to look down the gun barrel and take a hit like he did there from Northwestern. You know, a lot of guys, that nice, comfortable pocket, throw it nice and easy like this, like Tolzien does. But you got to be tough because you're going to get a hit in this game. I tell you, he's got a real nice skill set. Doesn't have a big arm, but can throw the football accurately. I was impressed with him in practice the other day.
Anybody got a number for false starts in the second half?
It's going to be the over-under.
I've got 8.
Offense, number 70. 5-yard penalty, still second down.
Steve Schilling, 6th rounder.
You know, Mike, when I was coaching, I used to love these preseason games, get these young quarterbacks and young players in the game. Tolzien has been under a monumental cram session for the last week. You know, Billy Volek couldn't practice because of this CBA, so after Rivers takes his turn, Tolzien has done a nice job running his Charger offense.
That's a good point. Volek only started practicing a week ago. Odom carries again. Malcolm Smith, 7th-round pick out of USC, who's made an impact in the Seahawks camp, made a tackle.
But, you know, Tolzien, he's got a long way to go. You've already seen him have one false start. I'd like to be in a huddle right now, spitting this Norv Turner verbiage out. And here's a great challenge for a young man, though, in earning a roster spot. He's played in the big arena at Wisconsin. I talked to Barry Alvarez down at the Manning Passing Academy in Thibodaux, Louisiana. He thinks a lot of this kid. He's a tough, young prospect.
3rd and 13. His pass is deflected. It was intended for Corey Sperry, the tight end. It'll be 4th down. Pass rush there from Pep Livingston as he deflected it, and San Diego kicks it away.
Yeah, the last thing you want is a rookie quarterback with a cram session to learn the offense is 3rd and 13. You know, can I get a nice little halfback option? You know, that 866 buck option and throw it to the back out in the flat and get a first down. 3rd and 13. Man, even the best in the business don't convert those on a regular basis.
Doug Baldwin was a good kick returner at Stanford. He gets an opportunity here. Good hang time on this kick. They'll fair catch it. 37 yards, nothing on the return. Mike Cyphers will play. Yeah, you know, the guy's only been here a couple of weeks. Did have a lot of training camp. Doesn't mean you're immune from getting barked at by the coach. Looks like we got another drive out of Charlie Whitehurst. Backing up Tavares Jackson over there. Jackson, very familiar with Darrell Bevel's offense, the offensive coordinator there. Jackson was in that system for 5 years. Whitehurst picking it up here. Now he's only been, again, in camp a couple of weeks. We'll see their 3rd quarterback, Josh Portis, a bit later on, but it's certainly a changing era at that spot in Seattle. Whitehurst first down pass caught by Doug Baldwin over by the 45-yard line, of course. No Matt Hasselbeck. 10 years around these parts. Took it to the Super Bowl 40 against the Steelers at Ford Field in Detroit. Had a great stretch, a great period of play in the mid-2000s under Mike Holmgren. And then came back from injury, missed the last regular season game, and won the playoff game for Seattle against New Orleans. Whitehurst goes right back to Baldwin. The catch is made. So it was bittersweet. The people in the Great Northwest loved Hasselbeck, there for a decade, terrific citizen, and after he and the Seahawks didn't reach terms and he went to Tennessee, this ad taken out in the newspaper up in Tacoma by the Seahawks, appreciating the contributions of Matt and his family, Sarah, kids Annabelle, Mallory, and Henry, made to the community both on and off the field. Both sides were very classy in the departure. Whitehurst, a shot. Good catch by Dominique Byrd, former USC player who didn't do very well in St. Louis.
Well, that's an old-fashioned sluggo seam concept, Jaws. Watch the slant and go here. They try to move the safety, and they get the tight end right down the seam. Executed to perfection by Whitehurst. Moved that free safety, opened up the seam for the tight end. Well executed by Whitehurst.
29 yards there. Thomas Clayton comes left. He's going to lose a yard or two.
You know, Matt Hasselbeck, a tough guy to replace. You know, quarterback for a decade, was one of those efficient quarterbacks. He didn't wow you with the strong arm, but he managed the game well. He knew every situation in the game. He threw the football accurately, and he did what Charlie Whitehurst just did right there very well. Move people, get people open, the eye manipulation, the shoulder roll, the head roll, an outstanding quarterback.
Whitehurst buys some time on 2nd and 11. And we'll run it for about 5 yards, right around the 15-yard line. You know, some folks in Seattle, they were happy. The fans were happy to make the playoffs, but they were thinking, we lose to St. Louis, we'll be 6-10 that last regular season game. Might be in a position to get a top 10 pick. Jake Locker, local product, then goes to the University of Washington. He could come in and Hasselbeck could hand the reins over to the local guy, and we got a great story. Well, they're together. They're together in Tennessee now as the quarterback tandem, with Mike Reinfeldt, who used to be the GM in Seattle. And now it's Whitehurst and Tavares Jackson battling here. So Jackson the starter, Whitehurst number 2. And a first down just inside the 9 to the 8 by Golden Tate, a guy with a little bit of a lost rookie season in some regards for the Seahawks.
Well, it's tough on Golden Tate. He learned Charlie Weiss's offense at Notre Dame. Then he had to learn Jeremy Bates' offense last year. Now he's learning a new offense from Darrell Bevel. But they told us that they're going to use Golden Tate much like they used Percy Harvin as that slot receiver in Minnesota. Look for Golden Tate to be a factor this year on reverses, option routes, a lot of slot activity.
And he's in that slot right now, John.
Whitehurst pulled down. This Darrell Gamble has had some impact on the game here tonight. Penalty markers down as well. Back in the secondary.
Well, you're going to see James Carpenter, the right tackle right here. And he's going to be pushed back by our friend Gamble, who's really making a name for himself. It's going to be tough for Carpenter in his pass protection to get acclimated as quickly as Tom Cable would like him to.
That wasn't very pretty, John.
Holding the secondary. Takes a first and goal, and Thomas Clayton gets a couple of yards. Are you talking about John flipping from left tackle over to right tackle?
Yeah, look, that's not easy. This guy's a rookie to start with, and he hasn't played right tackle. So it's going to be a work in progress. And, you know, these guys aren't practicing 2-a-days anymore, Ron. They have one practice a day, and not all of them are in pads. I don't know how you develop a young tackle that's 6'6", 325 pounds as fast as he used to.
Well, you still can't, the physical part of it, you can't get pushed around like he did.
Darrow Stuckey, 4th-round pick in last year's draft out of Kansas. Only played in one game last year. Comes in and makes the tackle. 3rd and goal coming up.
This is where you're Pete Carroll on the sidelines. You say, hey, Darryl, run the ball again behind the right guard Moffitt and run it behind the right tackle Carpenter. I drafted these two guys for a reason. Slam the ball off the right side until we score.
And the first time they had a 3rd and 1 in that first quarter, they ran behind Moffitt and Carpenter, got the first down. I agree with you, John. Put the pressure on them. Let's see what they got. Critical situation. Come off the ball, pads down. That's why Gamble's been so good.
Is that why?
Defense, number 49.
Look at Greg.
After this to the goal, still 3rd down.
Greg Minuski was in San Francisco as the defensive coordinator the last 4 years, and Susie Colbert talked to Norv Turner at halftime, and Norv was really happy with the defense, especially for 5 new guys out there, in particular Donald Butler, inside linebacker next to Takeo Spikes, who played well, and this guy Gamble.
Well, they're going to spread formation at the 1-yard line. Strange as it may be, still like to see him pound it off that right side.
Right inside with Leon Washington, who squirms his way into the end zone. See, no signal yet. There it is. Touchdown for Seattle.
That's when 5'8" helps you get under the defenders.
There he is, number 74, John Moffitt, the rookie out of Wisconsin, leading his back to daylight. Touchdown Seahawks.
And again, the new rule, every touchdown that's scored automatically is confirmed, or they say review up in the box.
The last play is on the video review.
There you go right there. So you see, he looked at his pager, and it said review because Washington D comes down close to breaking the plane. So the replay official is telling the referee, Jerome Boger, go over and take a look. Let's make sure this is a touchdown before the kick. So we have an apparent touchdown, and in the new rule, the replay booth reviews the score. They had a question, so the replay official buzzes down to the referee, asks Jerome Boger in this case to come to the monitor, review the play. He has, and here's his result.
After reviewing the play, the ruling on the field stands. Touchdown.
The ruling on the field stands. It wasn't necessarily confirmed. I'm very careful with the precise verbiage, because as we looked at that replay during the break, you could not clearly see down the line if he broke the plane with the football or not, so the call on the field stands. It's a touchdown.
Well, isn't it confirmed there was a touchdown? Is the verbiage critical? I'm confused. But what else
usually is? Brandon Coutu is battling Jeff Reed, the former Steeler, for the kicking job. Gets the extra point, 10-7 Chargers. After a poor first half, it was a nice drive leading to a touchdown for Seattle. It cut it to 10-7. With Robert Gallery, the acquisition from the Raiders, slotted into that left guard spot. By the way, Jaws, just to clean up, and I just
please
keep
help.
John out of these
Please help me, Mike. Oh yeah, keep John.
They said the ruling on the field stands. It wasn't confirmed because there was not indisputable video evidence that it was a touchdown. So the call on the field remained touchdown, and it stays that way.
Thank you for the clarification.
Very annoying when you're enjoying a goal line situation and you have to confirm touchdown.
Again, those of you just tuning in, you can only start from 5 yards behind the new kickoff spot at the 35. Brian Walters will bring this out and get it out to the 25-yard line. Susie Calder.
The debut in blue for Tavares Jackson. Just 1 week of practice. What were you hoping to accomplish?
So we want to get out here and get comfortable. You know, let the guys hear me in the huddle. You know, in a hostile environment. You know, not being at home. Just want to get out, make a couple throws. You know, and just try to get on the same page with some of our receivers.
What'll be most memorable about the night for you?
I had to run around a lot, and I didn't really want to run around that much, but it was fun. You know, I haven't played football since December, so just that 1 week of practice to let the guys see me run around a little bit. I guess they see that, you know, I can keep the play alive, so, you know, they can, run around a little more and try to get open for me.
Your general manager, John Schneider, was in Green Bay for 8 years, watched how Aaron Rodgers handled sitting behind Brett Favre. He's also been so impressed with you. What was your philosophy during your time there in Minnesota?
Just take it one day at a time, you know. Just want to be the best team I can be. I didn't want to complain. I wanted to be ready anytime that my number was called. I didn't want to sit back and complain and just pretty much quit, you know. So I just wanted to work hard every day, and whenever my number was called, just be ready.
Best of luck with the new opportunity.
All right, thanks.
Scott Tolzien, Susie, remains in the game for San Diego, and his pass is incomplete, trying to get it to Lauren Robinson. Mark Legree, that's the 5th-round pick for the Seahawks, broke it up.
Yeah, Tavares Jackson, as he said a moment ago, the only problem he had in that first half was he had to run around too much. But that's one thing he's very good at. Here, nice little crossing route, he hits it. Here, pressure up the middle, he moves, gets up the field. But head downfield to throw the football, safely gets out of bounds. I like the movement. I like the running ability. But I do want to see more timing and rhythm out of Tavares Jackson, being in sync with his receiving corps.
Tolzien with the pocket closing on him. Out of the hands of Corey Sperry. Jerron Johnson, free agent out of Boise State, broke it up. That's 3 and out. This is the time of the year Tavares Jackson's expecting Brett Favre to land in a private plane somewhere nearby. It's happened the last 2 years. Favre came in after a couple of weeks of preseason and took the job from him in Minnesota. Ricky Schmidt.
I love this. Norv never stops coaching. That's what it's all about. You got a young guy, work with him.
Schmidt, the other kicker in camp here, getting his punting opportunity. Turned one over there, 43 yards worth. Doug Baldwin. Run out of bounds around the 45-yard line. 6:46 in the third quarter, first preseason game. Chargers honored the military here tonight. So many great ships, military members every time you walk around the Bay Area here in San Diego. Our hats off and a salute to the great women and men who protect our country's freedoms every corner of the globe.
Amen, man.
Chargers have always done a great job, and the Padres as well over the years, representing the service men and women who live out in this area. Thomas Clayton with the carry. He's brought down by Cam Thomas out of North Carolina.
You know, a guy I'm really excited to see play this year is Takeo Spikes. He's in his 14th year. This guy has played great football. He's got over 1,500 tackles. He's never been to the playoffs in his career. And I think the Chargers are using that as motivation, not only for themselves. Let's get this pro football player to the playoffs.
Whitehurst is looking toward Ricardo Lockett, a big impact guy in the Seahawks camp. He checked it down instead to Clayton, tackled for 48.
But, you know, he told us, he goes, I've had a lot of different quarterbacks, and we've had some years we really struggled at the position. Look at all the different quarterbacks that Takeo Spikes has played with over his career. I mean, we got more acetates coming back home, people. Don't go anywhere. I like that word.
Yeah,
but he said, hey, I'm playing with Phillip Rivers. He says, Groove, I'd pay a luxury tax to play with Phillip Rivers. He is so excited about the opportunity to be on a good football team and finally make the playoffs. I hope he does.
Whitehurst complete. Oh, the first down to Chris Carter. That's with an H in his first name. Unrelated to our ESPN analyst. Out of UC Davis, first down.
You want to be a quarterback in this league, a consistent quarterback. You need an offensive line to give you protection. The Chargers come with the blitz. They pick it up. You see Whitehurst stand tall in the pocket and deliver a strike. That's what you got to do. Carter open, puts it right on his numbers.
One more time to him, and juggled and incomplete.
That's a great throw by Charlie Whitehurst. I'm really impressed with the way this Clemson Tigers come back to his home stomping ground in San Diego. Watch him stand in the pocket. Free blitzer hits him right under the chin, and he throws a perfect strike down the seam. I am really impressed with Whitehurst standing in the pocket, making big-time throws, Ron.
Yeah, we always talk about, you know, the arm strength, mobility. One thing you got to have to stay in that pocket, and that is courage. One thing Whitehurst showed right there, he has a lot of it.
Chris Carter, the receiver, was coming over like a veteran, telling Pete Carroll, throw the challenge flag. Like, wait a minute, it's your first year in the league. You're telling me to throw the challenge flag? But the coaches looked at it upstairs and convinced Pete to throw it. So we'll have a challenge here at the 4:55 mark of the third. Pete's having a good laugh over there with Jerome Boger and the other officials.
It is the preseason.
The Seattle coaching staff is challenging the rule on the field of an incomplete catch.
Saying I got this free agent receiver out of Cal Davis who's telling me to challenge.
The whole coaching staff challenge.
Could help the kid keep a job. So let's see if he's right. First challenge flag thrown by Pete Carroll. We've seen a couple of plays checked out in the replay booth already, but those don't count as challenges. So the system remains. You get two and earn a third if your first two are right. Was this a catch? Well, it's coming out there, but still hasn't hit the ground, and then it goes back down. The problem is every angle you look at, even if you piece different angles together, you never get a clear look at what happens when he comes down. Charles, what do you think?
I don't think there's any conclusive evidence he caught it.
After reviewing the play, the ruling on the field stands is an incomplete pass. Seattle is charged its first team timeout.
Again, ruling on the field stands, not confirmed.
What's the difference, Mike?
if it's confirmed, John.
This is what I know.
You know, if America only knew what a complete pain you are.
I don't care if it's confirmed or not. It's incomplete. That's all I need to know.
And the problem is, you blame me.
You're so technical.
Technical. I'm just trying to explain the system.
And sensitive, too.
Take out years of questionable calls on you, on me. Loss of a yard there by Thomas Clayton on the run. Trey Simmons tackled.
And Legion continues to make plays. His first-round draft choice we talked about in the first half. He continues to make plays. He's relentless. He finds the football. And he's got a motor. He's got enough stamina to make plays beyond the hash, out near the numbers. Hard to find defensive linemen like that. They're glad to have him in their rotation.
And one thing that's obvious watching him tonight, he has learned how to play with his hands, shed blockers, make tackles.
Mike Gibson doing the snapping here. Receiver down, flag down, passing complete. Doug Baldwin, Chris Carter in the neighborhood. Ramon Broadway covering San Diego.
Offside, defense, number 48, lining up in the neutral zone. 5-yard penalty, replay, third down.
John, let me ask you, without the OTAs and the mini camps and all those things, what about evaluation of players? How much different is it for coaches to evaluate the rookies and the free agents this year?
I think it's really hard. You know, you learn so much about these guys in your facility, not only on the practice field, but in the meeting room. And really, the way that you teach on the field, you implement drills, fundamentals. The whole pattern of developing players was lost.
Whitehurst throw is held on to. Good acrobatic play by Pat Williams. He's out of Colorado, spent a couple of years on Green Bay's practice squad. First down.
What a great catch.
You talk about ball skills. You watch Pat Williams here. Good tight coverage. Locates a football. Bats it up in the air. Manages to secure the ball with two hands. You got to snag it when it's in the air. You see Williams does a great job with that.
Replay. Another flag. Offsides as Whitehurst threw it away, or threw it out of bounds. Baldwin intended.
That is the 7th pre-snap penalty of the game so far.
Offside, defense, number 48, beating the snap. 5-yard penalty, still first down.
You know, a lot of things are lost when you miss this offseason, Jaws.
Yep.
But some of the things I used to do and remember enjoying the most was having a quarterback orientation, going over the season, going over every situation. You lose strength and conditioning. You don't implement your free agents into your program. How about these false starts?
That's fine. Keep going. Go ahead. It's a false start. Yeah.
Offense, number 66. 5-yard penalty.
But you have 4 months before training camp. There is no quarterback orientation. You lose the strength and conditioning. You don't get your free agency implemented. You lose 14 OTA days, and you lose 2 mini camps. You lose 3 mini camps if you're a new head coach. Time spent, value received. Every day you either get stronger, faster, more knowledgeable, you get more united as a football team. That happens in the offseason, Ron, and a lot of players got cheated, unfortunately, this year.
John, I could not agree with you more. This will be the lost rookie class. You know, these guys just got the playbooks less than 2 weeks ago. You know, they're not going to be able to assimilate all that you have to go out there and play to your ability. They're going to play out their thinking. And, you know, you can't play this game and react when you're thinking about what you got to do. So I think this will be a lost rookie class.
Some coaches have talked about finding an area of specialization. Do I have a rookie I can make a pass rusher? A guy I can make a dime back, special teams impacts, but not give him the whole full menu here.
You know, in these preseason games, a lot of people need to remember, you only have 45 players active on game day, Ron. So you have to have that 6th offensive lineman. Somebody's got to be the swing offensive guard, a guy that can be the backup center and play right guard and left guard if you have an injury. You need a swing tackle, and he's got to play right tackle or left tackle. We've already seen Okun go down tonight. You have to have versatility, and you must have these off-season months to prepare players to do that.
Thomas Clayton with the run for a first down to the 12-yard line, 2:18 to go.
Seattle is slamming the ball now off that right side. They've made some substitutions. I don't believe Carpenter is in the game at this point in time, but this is impressive what the Seattle Seahawks have done coming in here in the third quarter. They got shut out in the first half. The identity of a Tom Cable offensive line is coming alive here in the second half, Shaws.
Jobs are won in games like this.
Back to Clayton. Thomas gains about yard and a half or so. On my day up in the Northwest, talking to Pete Carroll, talking to Darrell Bevel, and John Schneider, the 40-year-old general manager, has been the architect of this major personnel overhaul. That's what they said. We want to have that physical run mentality, and you've got physical play all the way around. The receivers, 6'4" and 6'5", Sidney Rice, Mike Williams. A couple of big tight ends in Carlson and Zach Miller. Big on the defensive side. Whitehurst just got rid of it, had an intended receiver in the area. Ball made it near the line of scrimmage, so I don't think we're going to get intentional grounding, just an incompletion.
And talking to Pete Carroll, Mike, he wants that physical football team. You talked about it on the offensive side, offensive line, tight ends, wide receivers, big physical guys. He believes the same thing on the defensive side. You look at their corners. He likes those big, tall, rangy guys that want to hit. He's got a guy like Earl Thomas, a box player that will just knock you out when he gets a chance. So he wants a brute, physical style of play from his football team.
Giving out to the Charger fans here. 10-7, meaningless game, 113, making noise. Seattle ran out of time, timeout. Seahawks driving to try to tie or take the lead. Played first preseason game. First night of preseason around the NFL. Games in New England and Philadelphia, Dallas, and Oakland tonight. Preseason week 1 wraps up on Monday. We're in Houston to check out the Jets taking on the Houston Texans.
Mike, I got John on my Texans bandwagon. Should be interesting down there in Houston. Right. He's coming around.
Really?
He's a slow learner, but he's coming around.
I like it's really helped the Texans to this point, John.
Yeah, I know it. But they got one believer.
We're down there Monday night. 3rd and 9, and first down waits at the 2. Leon Washington still in the game in his 3rd down back roll. Only gains a yard. Open field play by Trey Simmons out of Minnesota.
Simmons does a real nice job of closing, forcing Washington back to the inside, and he gets a little help from his friends.
Seattle is trying to find a place kicker. They were surprised at how much Carolina spent on Olindo Mare, who had a good year for them last year. Brandon Coutu was drafted by this organization in 2008. Didn't make the team. Been out of football for a couple of years. From 28 yards, he knocks it through. He's battling the former Steeler Jeff Reed for the job. Our game's tied at 10, and Trey Wingo's in the chair now watching those other games.
All right, Michael, thank you. A lot of eyes on Tim Tebow as the Broncos took on the Dallas Cowboys. He took over for Kyle Orton after the first series and was pretty impressive, including this 43-yard strike to Matt Willis. He was 6 of 7 for 91 yards, had a running touchdown called back. Broncos lead the Cowboys in a field goal fest. Back to you.
Yeah, it got better for him. The first drive was a little sloppy for Tebow. This has been the conversation in Denver. Is it Kyle Orton or Tim Tebow?
I like Tebow. I think you got to have a plan for him. I think Josh McDaniels, the guy that drafted him, obviously he's not there, but he had a plan for him. And when you watch Tebow play last year against Houston, against San Diego, there's a lot of things that he did that are impressive. You don't like him, play Orton. That's not my problem anymore, Ron. But I'd also like to hear about Von Miller, their second pick that they took in this draft in Elvis Dumerville. I think they're going to be a much improved team.
Well, Mike only asked one question, so we can't answer all right now.
Well, this Tebow story, it's only the first week of camp. It's a long way from over.
I thought he improved a lot last year.
2 yards deep, Ryan Walters brings it out. Got a block. Got a chance. Ryan Walters from Cornell, 103-yard touchdown.
That'll get the San Diego special teams going. So much for all those touchbacks. That's Twitter. Our
Josh
Cribs telling everything's all right. Ball's kicked right down the middle. And watch Walters press it behind his wedge and burst to the outside. Nice job keeping his balance and a great finish. We've already talked about the Chargers. They have a new special teams coach, Rich Bisaccia, my old friend from Tampa. Look at this
Boom.
guy.
Oh, yeah. That was a little group.
That guy.
Yeah.
I'll tell you what.
Lots of smiles on that Chargers sideline.
That's a great coach right there. He's a special dude. He's going to make a difference down here in San Diego. You watch.
Nate Kading's extra point, 17-10. I don't know if Brian Walters is going to make this team, but what a great story. This kid was on the practice squad last year. He was all Ivy at Cornell. He was born in Seattle. He went to high school in Kirkland, Washington, where the headquarters for the Seattle Seahawks are.
That's
what
what
team he grew up near, and they scored a touchdown against them in the preseason.
That's what's most exciting. When you see a guy like Walters come off and the all-pro Phillip Rivers is right there to greet
First guy to meet him, Charlie Joyner.
Awesome right there.
Charlie Joyner, the Hall of Famer right there, giving him some love.
Well, two things. One, remember, they need kickoff return people here. So
Yes,
that's part of the search. So you make a play like that, now maybe you'll get the first half kickoff returns next week. Because we know a lot of the guys covering for Seattle aren't the best cover guys, but that's important for this kid as well.
No doubt. And now they got to kick the ball off. And I'd bet you, Ron, you got two hot dogs left over there. I'll bet you both of them that Rich Bisaccia kicks this ball right down the middle and asks these Chargers to go down in coverage. We've already talked about the problems that the Chargers have had last year covering kicks, and they need to find 11 men that are going to run down and get this job done for the Chargers in 2011.
So, John, what you're saying, I believe, is I'll try to read your mind a little bit. You won't see as many directional kicks to the sideline as we saw in the past. That now it's at the 35, bust it down the middle and cover.
That's what he wants to see. I know he does.
Pick up the goal line by Doug Baldwin. We got the sideline, and Baldwin returns the favor out to the 40-yard line.
Yeah, now he's not
Now he's not happy. Hey, you know, I sat in a lot of special teams meeting with the great special teams coach Frank Gantz, and the only thing I'd ever come out was inside shoulder force. Well, that time the Chargers lost their inside shoulder force and allowed the play to get to the outside. That won't make Rich happy.
Steve Crosby was the special teams coach here for a long time. They had a lot of injuries, a lot of personnel changes. People got on their page a little bit, and they had problems. New quarterback for Seattle, it's Josh Portis, rookie out of California, Pennsylvania. Pass is incomplete, played at that Division II school in the Keystone State. He has had a very circuitous route, a couple of high schools before he finished at Taft High School in L.A. Pete Carroll recruited him to USC when Pete was there. Portis ended up at Florida. Chris Leak was there, and then Tebow. He left there, went to Maryland, was ineligible, was caught cheating on a pop quiz. Left Maryland, ended up in California, PA, and the 24-year-old now is a free agent signee with Seahawks. He gave it to Chase Reynolds, and we'll watch Portis here in the fourth quarter. Seahawks scored the first 10, got back to tie the game, and Rich Bisaccia's special teams brought it back.
Did you say circuitous?
Yes, it is. Circuitous.
Spell it.
17-10 San Diego after 3.
A lot of guys in new uniforms tonight. One of them is hard-hitting safety Bob Sanders. We know you only been with the team for a week, but how much lobbying went on for you to try to get some playing time tonight?
Just a little bit. Excited to be back. Feels really good. Felt like I needed to get out there just moving around and get my feet wet a little bit, so I had a lot of fun.
You know, your fans just haven't been able to see enough of you over the years. How's your body feeling now?
Feels really good. Feel 100%. I'm excited to be back and looking forward for the season.
Chemistry's so important to be able to build at the safety position. How's it going with your buddy Eric Weddle?
Good, man. Me and Eric, we clicked right off the bat, and just focusing on getting better this year. And it's a new team, but it's new life for me, and I'm looking forward to bringing something to the table, and hopefully we can have a great season.
We're looking forward to seeing you play. Thanks.
Thank you.
All right, Susie, thank you. Bob Sanders missed all those games the last 3 years. If he and Weddle can stay healthy and together, could be a good impact group there. Portis' pass is incomplete.
Well, there are risks involved in signing this guy because of the injuries, but there's also a lot of rewards if he can stay healthy, because Bob Sanders is an intimidator. He's an outstanding tackler. He can play in the box. He can cap off and blow up piles. He's got range to play the back end, good ball skills. You know, Bill Walsh was a great coach, and he told me if he's been a great player before, there's a chance he can do it again, and that's just what A.J. Smith is doing. They're giving Bob Sanders a shot to get it all back, Ron.
John Gold punted, fair caught by the guy who just returned the touchdown, Brian Walters.
You know, there was a time when there wasn't a whole lot of value on the safety position. You know, the feeling was, hey, take a little corner who's losing his speed and put him at safety. Well, that has changed. The safety position has evolved into the most definite positions you have to have. A guy that can play free safety, that can get down in the box in the run. Bob Sanders is one of those guys that exemplifies what the safety position is now about, as the Troy Polamalu and other players like that.
You know, I asked Bob Sanders, I said, hey, are you going to change your style of play? Are you going to become less relentless, less aggressive? He looked at me and he says, what would you think of me if I did that? He is going to turn it loose. He's had a year away from football to get totally healthy. I think he's a comeback player of the year candidate.
He certainly brings energy. Him and Weddle were fun to be around. Tough safeties they're going to have back there to match with those corners. Kason and Jammer.
Sanders' career, he's played 48 games, he's missed 64. Former defensive player of the year. That's Chambray McNeil out of SMU. The back end of the depth chart for the running backs. He took the handoff from Scott Tolzien, took it out to the 50.
You know, Mike, what I'd like to see when you got a young quarterback in there like Scott Tolzien, give him a chance to throw the ball on first down. Don't wait to get in 3rd and 13 where you look at all these nickel and dime packages. Give him a nice isolation route on the outside against a base coverage look. Let him get a little comfort level in his game.
Nothing open, Tolzien taking off. For a gain of 3, and you, John, mentioned it first. Jaws, I know you've echoed this. These are the guys, these two quarterbacks in right now, who are hurt the most by the lockout because they were free agent quarterbacks, and their time to be around thousands of throws in the offseason, learn the offense, all gone.
No, Mike, you're absolutely right. You know, we've talked about this year in and year out, quarterback development. You know, I counted throws one year, 36,000 throws in a season, about 18,000 came in the offseason. The quarterbacks, these young guys, did not have the benefit of that many throws to hone their skills, work with their quarterback coach, film study. They're at a tremendous disadvantage right now.
Those were your numbers in the year?
Those are my numbers.
He was counting stats when he was playing. Tolzien gets sacked. That guy, Jamison Collins, who made the play, was a tight end who moved to defensive end. Played on both sides of the ball during his time at Kent State as well.
And you got to credit the Seattle secondary that time. Nobody was open. They blanketed these Charger receivers. And Tolzien hasn't had a chance, Ron, as you pointed out, to get any kind of rhythm at all.
Doug Baldwin, back to receive for Seattle.
Ricky Schmidt kicks to Baldwin.
These are situations that you love to get into in these preseason games. Not just special teams plays, Mike, but situations in the kicking game. This is a danger punt situation. You're backed up. Obviously, the snap, very important. So all these situations, Norv Turner, his Charger team will benefit from, as will Seattle.
This is where they had their problems a year ago, as we've noted a number of times. Block punts, deflected punts. And this is when a defensive team on the special team side is going to be aggressive. They'll attack down here. They'll call the block. This is when you got to be totally prepared as a punting team. I'm sure Bisaccia's down there now just covering everything, guys. Get your count right. Get your block right.
Well, not to beat a dead horse, guys, but this wasn't just a small issue. This was a big deal. I mean, the Oakland Raiders blocked 2 in one game. You know, they had a hard time hanging on to the ball. Opening game at Kansas City. Hello, McCluskey's gone for another touchdown. It was a horrible year on special teams. It's not all Steve Crosby's fault. The Chargers used 74 different players last year, Mike. I don't ever remember hearing that before.
Taking on the bounce by Baldwin down at the 42. You're right, John, that number of players used tied Arizona back in 2005. Those players in the regular season and non-strike year by a team. Part of the new collective bargaining agreement, no more two-a-day practices as teams get ready in training camp. We asked Phillip Rivers about the impact of that new schedule.
I think with the new schedule, it helps you to get the most out of every practice. You know, with the two-a-days, you always go through a lull about the end of that first week of camp that you just feel like you're just trying to get through some practices. But when you only have one, you know you can't afford to waste a day. So we've gotten the most out of each and every practice. The intensity and the tempo has been at a super high level now 11, 12, 13 straight days.
You know, and it's great for Phillip Rivers, but it stinks for the young quarterbacks. I wouldn't have played 17 years if I didn't have Dick Vermeil, Sid Gilman, John Ralston beating on me in the offseason, making me better. If you're a wily old veteran, it's great, but if you're a young guy trying to break in, it really sets you back.
42, Josh Portis hands to Thomas Clayton, who's been busy tonight. Got it out to the 49-yard line. Well, what a lot of the teams are doing here in the preseason is doing that second line there, the walkthrough in the morning, then spending class time, then coming out doing the padded practice later on in the day. Players can't be on the field for more than 4 hours on any given day. We've had some teams that are taking the young players out and then bringing the veterans out later on in the day. The regular season rules regarding practice, only 14 padded practices the whole year, a couple in week one. You're limited as the season goes on, so players will not be in pads as we get through the end, the last month or so of the season. Thomas Clayton on the tackle. John, what do you think about the stuff on the last part there during the regular season with limited padded practices?
Well, you know, I'm an ex-coach. I think when you start regulating hard work and taking it out of the coach's hands, I think every head coach, every coaching staff deserves a right to do what they think is necessary to get their team ready to play. And whether it's pads or no pads, hey, I practice a lot in shorts. I did a lot to try to take it easy on our team during the season, but I think it's up to the discretion of the team. But that's how I feel, and that's no longer.
You know, John, after these work conditions came out, and by the way, you know, during the CBA negotiations, that's one area the players did win, you know, the working condition side of it. But after these new rules came out, I had dinner with Dick Vermeil, a Super Bowl winning coach like you, John. He said, I don't know if I could coach in today's game. How can you take young players and make them better if you don't let them play the game with the physical nature of which you have to play the game? You limit the amount of time on the practice field, the repetition. It's hard to build young players and develop young players.
See if Portis gets a few chances here to throw from the 42. Here's the rookie. That's high and incomplete. Intended for Pat Williams. See what Trey Wingo has with Arizona and Oakland getting started tonight.
Michael, I'll show you something that Arizona fans hope they see a lot of. Kevin Cobb making his debut, dropping back, and who's he going to throw to? Well, why not Larry Fitzgerald? And it is a 41-yard strike down the left side. It is 3-0 Raiders right now, but obviously the Cardinals very happy. No circuitous route there, meaning circular or winding course, Michael.
Yeah, just a sick catch by Larry Fitzgerald again.
Trey actually went and researched circuitous. I like that.
He's smart enough, he knows. 3rd and 10, Portis. Trying to get it to the other hand so he can reach out and get a first down, but he's out of bounds at the 35-yard line. 3 yards shy of the first down. Charger shaking up behind the play is Darryl Gamble, who had the big impact here in the first part of the game.
Well, at 6'3", 211 pounds, you can see Portis does have little Zuzu in his game. Got outside the pocket, almost got to that first down marker. You can see the athleticism showing right there. A little bit inaccurate with his throwing, though, and I prefer my quarterbacks to be able to throw accurately.
And that's a damper on what's been a really good night for Gamble, who's been in the backfield a lot. They check him, and they give an injury timeout. It's good to see that Gamble got up under his own power and came off. Now they're checking on him, and there's standardized concussion protocol that all the medical staffs around the league must go through before a guy can come back in the game. If that's a head injury, 4th down, they're going to go for it with Josh Portis, the quarterback. Portis had thoughts on taking off right away. Flag is down, as his mark is right at the first down line at the 32. Flag down in the backfield.
That'll be holding against the Seahawks.
Holding. Offense, number 77. 10-yard penalty. Replay, 4th down.
Zach heard from UConn. John?
Bump and run, man-to-man coverage. I'd have liked to see Portis just step up and throw the ball.
Take a shot.
But when you're a young quarterback in a new offense, only been here a short period of time, things happen fast, don't they, Ron?
I tell you, this young man reminds me of Randall Cunningham. I'm telling you, he's got that quick first step, bolts out the pocket. He's got that lanky, long stroke, big arm. I roomed with Randall a couple years, played with him in Philadelphia. What an incredible athlete. I don't want to put Portis in that group, but he does have some similarities.
San Diego's trying to decide here if he picked up the first down or not, because it was 4th down. He's short, so the Chargers will have no need to punt, and they'll take over right there. Is their ball, Pete? Pete Carroll turned 60 on September 15th. Of course, had the great success a couple hours up the road in Los Angeles with USC, 9 years, 7 Pac-10 titles, a couple of national championships. Earlier this year, that 04 BCS national title was vacated, and all tied into the Reggie Bush losing the Heisman and that whole stretch with USC. Pete's second year back in the league. He won the division last year, trying to keep Seattle up top there. He made some big additions on the offensive side. Really added 4 offensive starters, if you think about it. With Robert Gallery, Zach Miller, Tavares Jackson, and Sidney Rice. Run by Isaac Odom. Helmet comes off, and Susie's standing by with Rice and his other running mate at wide receiver.
Yeah, you talk about big additions and the potential of these two. Mike, what did you think when you heard that this guy was on the way?
When I first reported back to camp, I got on the phone and called him. I left a message. I said, Sidney, man, get out here. We got your quarterback. We got your coordinator. You know, come on. Obviously, I think he makes my job easier, and I'm going to do my part to make his job easier. And, you know, it's good to have a big guy on the other side that can stretch the field.
What do you think is the potential here of the two of you together?
It's going to be huge. Like you said, I'm going to be on the other side stretching the field. We got Zach in the middle. With his up on the outside, it's going to be fun. Look to stretch the field a lot this year, throw a lot of balls downfield, and have some big plays.
Few people know Tavares Jackson like you. What did you get to see from him that maybe nobody else did?
He has a strong arm. I feel like he didn't get the opportunity to show everything he had in Minnesota. He was held back a little bit, but I feel like this year he'll get the opportunity to do that, and I'm looking forward to big things from him.
Mike, what are some of the difficulties of making that transition? Matt Hasselbeck here so long, and now you've got a new quarterback.
You know, the playbook is pretty easy to pick up. It's still kind of West Coast. The scheme's kind of the same. Ball comes out a little faster. Tavares, you know, he gets it out quick. He can throw it a mile. You know, but with Matt, you know, I got a lot of targets. So you know, I got to go buy Tavares dinner or some slippers or something to, you know, try to get the ball coming my way. You know, him and Sidney got a rapport, so I got to kind of crack into that thing. But you know, there's gonna be enough to go around, man. We got a lot of weapons with our running backs and catch check downs and take them for big plays. When this thing comes together, it's gonna be very exciting for our fans.
Guys, we look forward to it. Thanks.
All right, Susie, thank you. Jerron Johnson made the tackle there. That forces the punch by San Diego. Josh, you ever have a wide receiver buy you slippers to encourage getting balls thrown as well?
No.
That was a new one for me.
No.
Ricky Schmidt kicked it 50 yards. Bringing it back is Richard Sherman. Right down 16.
There's my guy, Andrew Gotchkar, 7th round pick out of Missouri. I told you I liked him on the practice field, Jaws. Glad you were watching.
Football Week 1 wrap up the preseason, 8 Eastern, from Reliant Stadium in Houston on Monday night. Of course, the big story with Houston is the changeover. Wade Phillips, who once was the defensive coordinator here in San Diego, is now their new defensive coordinator, and they've had a playoff caliber offense the last couple of years. Can Wade have that instant impact that he's typically had in places on the defensive side? Josh Portis back in there. Chris Carter, yard shy of the first down.
Hey, there you go, right there. Give a quarterback a first down throw, quick out, 3-step drop, ball out in 1.5 seconds. Get him comfortable in the pocket.
You know, when you look at Portis, this communication is new to him. You see Darrell Bevel, he's giving the play, he's giving it to Portis, who's got to repeat it in the huddle. A lot of these college quarterbacks are in the no huddle, and they really don't ever get in the huddle and have to call these plays.
2nd and 2, had to secure the snap. Chase Reynolds from Montana is stopped. C.J. Wallace made the play. Guy was in the UFL last year.
The interesting thing with this quarterback, Ron, is he played for Walt Harris.
Yep.
And Walt Harris, as you know, was the head coach at Stanford, coached with Pete Carroll at the Jets. This guy has a very solid background. And I know he's an explosive athlete. Darrell Bevel is going to try to do some things here in the last 7 minutes of the game to get him on the edge and put him in position to make a play.
Walt Harris was also the coach of Pittsburgh during his college run. A play action 3rd and 1, looking to the second level. It's caught for the first down by Dominique Byrd, the tight end, to the 48, gain of 23.
Well, that was outstanding poise by Portis in the pocket off the play action fake. He knew he had the deep cross coming from Byrd. You'll see it right here. This is what young quarterbacks have to be able to do. Turn your back to defense, and snap your head around, and now read the coverage. Find the wide receiver. It looks easy to do, folks. That is very difficult. That was perfect execution by Josh Portis.
More play action. This one caught by Ricardo Lockett to the 36-yard line. Ricardo Lockett, speedy guy out of Fort Valley State, Division II player.
Everybody talks about the West Coast offense. Well, this is a dagger combination, Ron. A middle clear and a deep square in. It's a slot combination. And watch Josh Portis drop right back to pass. He sees the middle clear and drops the ball in there with very good anticipation. This guy's making it look easy.
Yeah, that dagger was the old 96 combination developed by Sid Gilman.
Incomplete for Anthony McCoy, one of about a half dozen players with some USC connections. We talked about Portis and his 2 years at California and Pennsylvania.
Well, he threw for a lot of yards, 2,600. I think he had 33 touchdown passes, and he did what he's supposed to do at the Division II level. He dominated it. He did it with his legs. They ran an impressive system, had some run and shoot elements to their passing game, and he made a lot of plays. This guy's looking good the more I see him tonight, Ron.
Gun run with Chase Reynolds at a 32-yard line. Reynolds at Montana has school record 59 touchdowns.
And, John, what was impressive about spending time with Portis yesterday, and both you and I talked about it, he talked about the dummy counts. He talked about getting into the proper run at the line of scrimmage. That's the Walt Harris effect on his game. He just didn't get the line of scrimmage, say, hut, drop back and throw it. His pre-snap reading, the pre-snap phase of the play was very important to him. He learned how to play that position.
Good 3rd and 6 throw for the first down to McCoy.
Well, here's another old-fashioned West Coast principle. I know a lot of people at home know this route. They call this flanker drive. The tight end's going to run a basic cross. The primary is the drive. There's number 1. Watch Portis go through his progression. He gets off number 15 on the shallow cross. It's covered. He throws the ball to the open area on the tight end. Excellent job by Josh Portis going through his progressions.
Completions of 23 and 16 and 20 on this drive. Back to Thomas Clayton. Stiff arm to the 4. He took the helmet right off Ramon Broadway. That'll give us a chance to point out something else that they're looking at in the rules this year. You can stiff arm. That's very legal. That's still in the book. But if a running back puts his hand out there and grabs and twists the defender's face mask, they're asking the officials to call that more this year on the running backs. That one was clean. It was just straight.
That was an old-fashioned Mike Tyson left hand to the face right there. That's how you stiff arm when you're a running back. You punch right through the midsection of these defenders.
Nothing open there.
See, that's where a young quarterback
got to get out of the play.
Well, he's just behind. He may not even have access to all the audibles. And he'll get that from Darrell Bevel this week. He'll say, hey, Josh, there's 11 guys up there on the line of scrimmage. That play has no chance. So he's going to have to audible. I'm surprised Portis wouldn't take a timeout there. That play was dead from the very beginning.
Nick Polk out of Indiana made that tackle.
There's where you get these situations. We've talked about it all night. You know, you got a limited playbook, limited experience for the quarterback. You know, he probably wasn't even aware it was going on. Just doesn't have the experience right now.
And there's Seattle's final timeout. Trying to go for a tying touchdown.
They go for 2.
Probably. Well, we've had the expected number of penalties, 16 in the game, but we've had no turnovers in this game. And Pete Carroll's seen a lot of offense. North Turner's team has run only 39 plays tonight, 74 for Seattle. Getting a look at their offensive people.
Here comes another all-out blitz. They're going to make Portis throw it.
And he does. He got the blitz picked up for a second. Kept it alive. And then back to the end zone finds Anthony McCoy for the touchdown.
I like quarterbacks that can bail you out. You know, you're the play caller. You call the play. They cover the fullback in the flat. They cover the primary receiver. And Portis just keeps it alive. Shows really good poise back there and shows a lot of vision. Watch him. He's trying to hit the fullback and a tight end. He scrambles to his right, buys time, and throws the ball back against the grain. What an athletic play by Portis.
McCoy, who was injured last year, finished the year on IR, played a couple of years at USC. And Pete Carroll bring out Coutu because there's a kicking battle going on here. And our game is tied at 17 with 4:02 to go.
I guess I was wrong. Wants more. He has a lot of snaps in his offense. Maybe Pete Carroll wants more.
That was a really good drive by Portis. Put together some good passes and got comfortable.
Oh, it's an excellent drive. I mean, he had struggled earlier in the game, but watch him drop back the pass, throw a nice timing route to the outside. Good rhythm, good throw. Then it's the play-action pass. He sets up, he throws a deep crossing route to another tight end, Dominic Bird. Then he throws the dagger, the deep square end. And one more play, steps up, finds the tight end on an old-fashioned basic cross. And then it's all Portis himself, tying this football game at crunch time in the fourth quarter. Let me tell you something, fellas. If I were Tavares Jackson, I want to get back out there because Whitehurst looked good, and so did Portis. They've got 3 pretty good quarterbacks here that fared okay tonight, Josh.
Well, John, let's put a little levity to this. The guys he's playing against are not exactly a lot of guys we'll be seeing on Sunday afternoon in about a month. Although I will give Portis credit for what he did. He did a tremendous job.
You know, you've always seen things as half empty, Ron. The guy just got here. He's from Division II, California, Pennsylvania, and he did a nice job.
And I applaud as ever, but now you're saying Tavares Jackson got to worry and Charlie Whitehurst got to worry.
Brian Walters is back deep. He's going to come up and get Coutu, kicking it short to the 6. Walters already has taken one back. He's down to the 27. Tie game here, maybe overtime. Trey Wingo back in the studio.
Michael, you guys talking about Portis. We'll take a look at other quarterbacks playing well with new faces and new teams. Vince Young, limited action for the Eagles. Tim Tebow, as we showed you, pretty impressive. Had a rushing touchdown called back. Blaine Gabbert in extended action, 9 of 16. No interceptions, but did take 3 sacks. And then you saw the strike from Kevin Cobb and Ryan Mallett, guys, in New England. 12 of 19, 1 touchdown pass, and 164 yards for the Patriots.
Yeah, reading some tweets at halftime. Some of our ESPN folks were up there in Boston. They thought that Mallett looked pretty good in his action. Tom Brady not playing tonight. Seen Bill Belichick do that several times. Tolzien hit, lost the football. Seattle has recovered. Pep Livingston fell on the ball.
Well, when you have a timing route, 3-step drop, and you hold on to the football, only bad things will happen for the quarterback. At the top of his drop, I'm sorry, Mike, Tolzien, the top of the drop, had nowhere to go with the football. When you stand back in that pocket, you hold on to the football, here comes the pressure. Right now, get it out of your hand. Don't stand there. Here comes the fumble. The quarterback has to have that clock in his head. Get the ball out.
Pierre Allen, the rookie out of Nebraska, went right through Hutch Eckerson, I should say. The tackle out of South Carolina, knocked it free. So Seattle has a chance to take the lead. Case Reynolds pulled down in the backfield.
There's Mike Blanc, the former Auburn Tiger. Everybody talked about Nick Fairley, rightfully so. But Blanc made a big play in that national championship game, causing a safety. And he's done some nice things in his first week here in San Diego as a rookie free agent.
Guy played a lot of football for Auburn, including that BCS championship game. Thomas Clayton into the open field, and he'll score. 25-yard run.
Well, that's the old Tom Cable stretch run. And I know that makes him feel real good. Play side, backside, that's extremely well blocked. And it's a nice finish by Clayton. But it's a zone scheme. Everybody's going to step with their left foot. They're going to try to give Clayton a chance to press it to the play side and watch him set his cuts up. There's that one cut right there, Ron. And Tom Cable is going to bring a lot to the Seattle running game with that play right there, the zone stretch play. And if they can run it right and left with this young offensive line, there'll be some nice bootlegs and play-action passes for Tavares Jackson.
And Jean-Pierre, the left guard, had a great block downfield and allowed that cutback for Clayton.
Brandon Coutu added the extra point, 24-17. It's been a lot of work for Clayton, 16 carries. For a guy in his third year now out of Kansas State, and he's had a couple of good runs, including that one for the score.
You know what's great about these preseason games? Everybody says, it doesn't matter, your one-loss record, and that's true. But when you're a football coach, there's nothing like winning. And when you're a player, there's nothing like winning. And it's great to get on the airplane after a victory in training camp, because the next week you can coach a little harder. You can make your points a little clearer. And that's big for Seattle. This is such a young football team that Pete Carroll has. And he's got a group of teachers on this staff, and they'll take advantage of a victory and a nice plane ride home if they can finish this game strong.
Trayvon Patterson going to take this kickoff back for San Diego. Wide receiver out of Colorado, transferred from USC after SC was hit with their probation. Patterson brings it to the 30-yard line. And, John, you mentioned winning a game, but Pete Carroll said it last night, and I was sitting across from you in our meeting room, and I saw your face light up when Pete started to say it, because Pete said tonight I get to talk to the team, which he loves to do, because there are a bunch of kids who are putting on an NFL uniform for the first time in their lives tonight, and it means a lot to them.
Oh, it really does. And, you know, he said last night he's going to let the players, the veteran players, are going to dedicate it to the rookies. I remember letting Tim Brown and Jerry Rice address our players the night before a game. And just seeing these guys put their uniforms on for their first time, I mean, they're, hey, I'm a Seattle Seahawk. Right. They're looking at their name on the back. It's just a great moment, Ron. I'm sure you remember your first game as a pro like yesterday.
You know, I certainly do. It was in the Los Angeles Coliseum my formative years. You know, Youngstown State, about 8,000 people a game, 93,000 people at the game. I was a little bit nervous.
Tolzien runs for 5. Here's Susie Colbert.
Mike, we talked about the impact that the lockout has had on players who are dealing with injury. Put Antonio Gates at the top of the list. What was your off-season like? You're dealing with plantar fasciitis in your foot.
Well, obviously the lockout put a damper on my off-season, not being able to have the trainers and the guys that know my body the best. So just as an ongoing process, our goal now is just to give me 100%. We don't put any stipulations on when I'm going to be back, but every single day we're working hard trying to get me to 100%.
So what would you say your status is now?
I mean, it's up and down. It comes and goes. I practice one day, I might need the rest. I still understand the importance of being out there on the football field, to be prepared to go out and play, but at the same time, I got to get the proper rest to be fully, healthy.
So what do you expect from the season?
The same thing I expect every season. For us to try to win a championship, taking it one day at a time.
Wish you the best. Thanks.
Thank you. Thanks for having me.
All right, Susie, thank you. We appreciate Antonio Gates waiting to talk to us. Boy, it'd be great to have him. And North Turner said even if I do get him healthy, he may not be on the field for as many snaps. He'll still get his passes thrown to him, but may reduce his snaps, keep him out there as he gets older. 3rd and 5 for Scott Tolzien. Fires a strike. Complete to the first down at Trayvon Patterson at the 49-yard line. And we get the 2-minute warning.
Well, one of the most fundamental plays in the history of football is that curl pattern. It's that old security blanket. It always seems to work.
Scott, Jay, Jim Hasselbeck around table. Break down those 5 games and everything else going on in sports. 2 minutes here, right shy of midfield. Scott Tolzien And the San Diego Chargers try to drive for the game-tying touchdown.
Better football than I expected tonight, Mike. I got to be honest with you. Outside the penalties, hadn't been a bunch of turnovers, only one fumble. A pretty clean game. I quite honestly, I did not expect this.
San Diego's offense, after Rivers walked them down the field in that first drive, hasn't really looked all that good. That was just their first down of the second half.
Well, Scott Tolzien obviously in a 4-down territory. Do not take a sack.
Play action pass from Tolzien. Caught by Brian Walters, who had that kickoff return for touchdown earlier. Jerron Johnson pushed him out of bounds.
Well, that's a staple in this Charger pass offense. They love to run those deep corner routes. And that time it was out of play action pass. They cleared out the deep zone. And Tolzien made a nice throw into that voided area to stop the clock, Jaws.
Yeah, I like the way he handled the pressure. Off the play action fake. There were bodies around him, a little subtle movement in the pocket, let the play develop down the field. A veteran-like move from Tolzien.
I'd be shocked if Seattle doesn't apply some pressure to him in this situation.
Caught by Patterson to the 12. Just out of bounds by Marcus Brown.
And now with Seattle having no timeouts left, the Chargers are going to huddle and try to milk this clock a little bit. Don't leave Seattle any time. I'm sure Norv Turner's thinking about a 2-point play as well.
He's not the only one. Slant. Walters to the 5.
The more these young quarterbacks play, the better they play. Tolzien's played a lot at Wisconsin. He struggled throughout the second half. Didn't have a lot of opportunities. But I like guys that are mentally tough, Ron. Quarterbacks that don't go in a tank. They don't come unglued. They stay with it. And Tolzien has thrown a lot of different kind of passes on this drive. Here he is on a quick game from the shotgun, throwing a quick slant. Impressive.
Well, I always look at a quarterback and I look at the accuracy. When you throw that ball over the middle, you better put it on the wide receiver's body. What we're seeing now, those curls, those slants, those inside routes, where you got to have some courage. The wide receiver to go in there and make the catch, but Tolzien is helping them by the accurate passing.
You know what Phillip Rivers told us about Tolzien? He says, you know what I like about this kid the most? He's a baller. He says, you can't teach playmaking. And that's the one thing that Tolzien has done. He's made a lot of plays on his own. He hasn't come in here and been a robot like some young quarterbacks tend to be. He's let it go, and right now he's got a chance to really capitalize with this chance and tie this football game.
And I watched John Ramsdale, the quarterback's coach, work him in practice, and he worked him real hard. And Ramsdale is great at what he does.
Cameron Kenny comes to the bottom of the screen at Oklahoma. Sean Bray McNeil, the back, joins him on this side. Trying to force the slant in there for Kenny, and it's incomplete. Third down, so still get a first down at the 3-yard line.
Well, it was a good call by Norv Turner. They motioned to an empty backfield. They gave Tolzien a pre-snap look at the coverage. He knew it was a blitz. He knew it was man-to-man. He went right to his sharp slant. Wide receiver didn't get it done.
Roll to the right. Left and open. Throws it out the back. It'll be fourth down.
Isn't that one of those favorite West Coast plays, John? That sprint right option and just try to get it out quick.
It's tough when you're trying to guess down here. Sprint option, as you said, Ron, that play is designed for man-to-man coverage. Got a loaded zone that time from the Seahawks. Pete Carroll doing a nice job mixing his coverages. He and defensive coordinator Gus Bradley. 4th and goal. 4th and 3, I should say. They can get a first down.
Play clock running down to 8 and 7. They have to take a timeout here. And they do. Well, the San Diego Chargers have won 4 division titles, lost it last year, going for 5 in a row. They need to avoid the slow start. It has happened to them over and over. And under Norv Turner, it finally caught them last year.
Oh, they blame Norv a lot for these slow starts. But I'll tell you what, guys, it's the turnovers. They have not taken care of the ball in September. They're a negative 15 in those 4 years. Minus 15 in the turnover ratio in 07, 8, 9, and 10. Look at how they finished, though. And that's really a big credit to these Charger football players. They know how to close deals and finish the season. They have got 3 out of their first 4 games at home this year. They need to take better care of the football, and I know that's been a priority in Charger camp. I think they're in for a heck of a season.
Yeah, and I love their mentality. Mike mentioned it earlier. Right now, it's about right now. A.J. Smith, you know, he brings in Keough Spikes. He brings in Bob Sanders.
They can get a first down at the 3. 5 in the pattern. Got to let it go. Broken up in the back. Nearly caught on the deflection. But when it falls incomplete, Cameron Kenny couldn't get there. Jerron Johnson, one of the DBs back there. And the Seahawks will walk out of here with a victory in preseason game 1.
It's really a common coverage. Pete Carroll plays a split safety zone coverage. They drop 8. They saw the defensive tackle spy. There's just not a lot of windows to throw the ball into. Well done by the Seattle defense. Mixing coverages. They use pressure. They use maximum zones. Nice comeback victory for the Seahawks.
You nailed it, John. Corey Sperry, the tight end, coming underneath. They dropped that lineman out to pick him up. Well-executed defense.
Portis will have taken knee one more time. And guys like Portis and other players, we've always had third quarterbacks in the league. Tolzien, dress a third quarterback, have to keep him as a third. This year, there's no such thing. You've got 46 players to bump the active roster for game day up by 1. So if you don't want to dress a third quarterback, you can get an extra special teams guy there. Interesting to watch how much the teams do that come game day. 4 weeks from tonight, the season gets started. Seahawks' next preseason game will be at home against Minnesota. Tavares Jackson and Sidney Rice see their old team on Saturday. San Diego's going to go to Dallas a couple of days early, work out against the Cowboys, and take on Dallas a week from Sunday. 24-17 our final. Seahawks beat the Chargers here in the preseason. Got Sports Center coming up next. Jay Harris, Scott Van Pelt, Tim Hasselbeck going to bring you all the NFL stuff from the first night of football. John Gruden, Ron Jaworski, Susie Calder, our entire ESPN Monday Night Football crew. I'm Mike Tirico. Good night from San Diego. This has been a presentation of ESPN, the worldwide leader in sports. See you for Monday Night Football from Houston with the Texans and the Jets after your weekend.